We'll have that tonight, 4 o'clock though, earnings movers and all the other movers. Until then, Obi and I will be back at 11 o'clock, same time, same place. Ciao.
Take it easy, guys.
Hey guys, welcome in. Yeah, 2 o'clock, couple hours left on a pretty exciting afternoon here as we get more positive AI news driving the action back to the upside for not only Microsoft and Meta specifically, but tech overall back in positive territory. Here's how things are shaping up right now as we head into the final couple hours of the day. 0.5% for the S&P 500. About a full percent now for the Dow. It was leading as far as gainers early on as the rest were kind of lagging a little bit. We're back to the green side though for both the NASDAQ 100 and the composite. 0.41 for the composite, 100, 0.68 to the upside. All three Russells, 1, 2, 3,000 in positive territory as well. If you're away during lunchtime, there was a few things moving around. Uber was one of those. Nice look for Uber today. There was a court decision in New York that was announced this morning that was better than expected for them. This one, though, popped up. Meta, this is a 15-minute chart. I'll have to change that. But Meta with a nice move back up to 315 almost at the high there. They're going to expand their partnership with Microsoft and the Llama model, a new version of that coming out today as well. Their large language model for Meta. Microsoft was the other one. Yeah, what a move. All-time highs and then some on monster volume. Gets through 350 and does not look back right through to 365, back to the upside for Softy we go. That has the NASDAQ. I was just noticing before we came on here. Within shouting distance of all-time highs now as well for the entire index. But there's Bank of America, ends up holding up near day highs after reporting this morning. Better than expected results for BAC. Morgan Stanley, almost said Microsoft again. Morgan Stanley as well, very similar, actually a little bit better off. In fact, at this point, 92 was a bit of a problem early on this morning. We get a bit of a pullback back to the downside right now on a consolidation. But we thought the banks were going to be interesting. Little did we know, guys, that tech was going to take over here during lunchtime. But good to see both the S&P and NASDAQ to the positive side.
We're always happy when the market is to the upside. And in my defense for not being currently long in Microsoft, I followed the plan on Microsoft. I just didn't. So it's kind of like that Seinfeld episode, right? You know how to take the reservation. You just can't hold the reservation. So I knew how to take the breakouts on Microsoft, but I couldn't hold on to the breakouts of Microsoft. I'm talking about 347. We actually did have the plan for 347 independent of this news anyways, and then that 352, which was this former high on the daily chart. So we had talked about this morning. They were pretty solid. Didn't look like it was going to make that break because it was pretty weak all morning long. And then, of course, the news drops. Softy goes absolutely ham, 47 breaks. And I throw it back to trading flash news. Typically speaking, when you make that big of a move to the upside, like you've gone for, if I think 347 has 350 and 352 in front of it, when it's gone from 44 into that break that fast, like taking that long, it's hard for me not to get wicked out when it failed the 350 level. Really tricky because I'm always thinking this can come all the way back in when it's just a news-based move. And then suddenly, like a minute or two later, it's a 352 breakout. I'm like, well, that happened way too fast. So if that can't fail, if that fails up at the next level, I'm going to get out of it too. So I scalped both those trades in complete hindsight. But yeah, this just kept going and going and going and going. There was no stop in sight. I didn't really battle it. I did try a sympathy play over in Palantir, which we'll get to. And I am in what I think is an NVIDIA sympathy play, but I guess maybe I should just be long in NVIDIA. Because I was looking for Marvell to show a continuation breakout. Like, it was starting to go. I should have had this break in hindsight. There's a couple people talking about it in the chat, and I was kind of opining as well that I can't see NVIDIA continuing to break highs and Marvell not make a challenge at this top. Are we going to 1%? Are we going to 16,000? Can NVIDIA go to 480 if Marvell doesn't break this consolidation and make a challenge of the 69 high on the daily? So it's a rising tide lifting a lot of AI ships and chip names after what happened with Microsoft. That's fallen asleep a little bit here. It needs to get back above 365 to go, but if it does, I like some of these laggers. Marvell's lagging, NVIDIA a little bit. So I like that one. If you're looking for a softy entry, I suppose 365 on a break, but I don't like the breakout here. You can see how well it's holding 362. That could be a nice little bounce zone. But it's gone sideways in this dollar range since it had that breakout. I don't think you want to rush into a trade. It breaking away from this range gets more exciting to me. Like if it breaks down, maybe it holds VWAP. If it breaks up, then you can look for a break at the high of the day or something along those lines. But I do like some sympathy plays here. Palantir we'll get to in a bit.
Yeah, that Microsoft, I got a little stubborn short in that all the way up, got a little smoked there. Normally Microsoft is not going to make a move up that big on news like this. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong, but that was like 6% all the way up. I tried shorting 350, I tried shorting 356, 358, and then I kind of stopped, and it finally does the turnaround, but it barely turned around at all. Like, what's the high here? 366.50. And it only got down to 362.50. So I'm thinking maybe if we do like a fail break of 365, given that that's where it kind of broke down from here, and that's where we made the high, right? Just whatever that is, 15 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, maybe you do a fail break up there, and then we can get back down to that VWAP area kind of. But super strong move for Microsoft. They did say AI, so they went up. This is the way that the market works nowadays. Say AI, do a crazy move, 5.5% through the all-time high. Absolutely insane on Microsoft, and we are taking out highs on NASDAQ right now.
To the moon.
Wow, 16K incoming, I guess. Wild, did not expect this today.
Get your popcorn ready.
Yeah.
Didn't have the diamond hands, but we have a chance to run even further. We're supposed to talk a little bit about the banks, but if you didn't get that early when those conference calls were going on, that was pretty much it. I wish I could tell. I know Prad was long pretty much every single bank in existence this morning, which was obviously really, really good. I tried one long too late in BAC, and it was a badly timed entry point, which at least I got out of right away because I would have had to hold that 1% back if I wanted to get the bounce. 30 was a level. You probably heard me say it and then take 30 long anyways. But 30 was the real level for BAC. And then Schwab was so far out of the pocket by the time things settled down after the calls on the conference calls in the morning were done, this was already gone. That 60 break, 60 was a big level. You had to have that before 9 o'clock. Once it opened up, you were already chasing 64, which was a little bit too far. I didn't listen to the conference call this morning on BAC. So it's hard to, when you don't know what's causing it to make that move up after it was so tepid on Friday for strong bank earnings or decent bank earnings, then I don't know if you want to chase it. If you are focused on those, maybe easier to get in if you have an idea what was going on there. But I feel like these AI names and the chip names could be the place to go. Don't sleep on Apple. We'll get to that as well.
Yeah, pretty impressive here as far as Microsoft is concerned. Let's get into this a little bit further. So they unveiled not only a higher priced suite of AI tools from Microsoft, they also said that the Bing extension for enterprise is unveiled today as well. So a couple of things for Microsoft causing this move to the upside. And we mentioned that Meta news as well, circulating into that. I mean, way back in the pre-market this morning, we were talking about this ATVI news, which has quickly taken a back seat here. Guys, not much to do here today so far for Microsoft. Well, Microsoft, different story, but ATVI specifically.
Well, to be honest, actually, ATVI is a big miss for me because while I was looking at other stocks, and this happens sometimes if you're trading multiple names, 93 was the level. We were all over the 93 level in both directions yesterday. Like I was short it pretty much the entirety of the morning whenever you're able to get the 93 short. When it broke out to long, we had the big long off it on the first dip. We had a secondary dip off 93. So when it came up there, I was looking short. But what happened is it tagged 92.99, and then I started passively offering to try and get fills while trading other things. It's like, yeah, it's up there, whatever. I'm going to get my 95s. I just sit on the offer. It's going to pick me up. But that never happened. I needed to be removing liquidity to get those fills. And by the time it made the move down, it was too late. I was not chasing it. It just was not aggressively trading the stock like I was yesterday. If we get a chance at 93, it'll be a really tight scalp trade, maybe 97s or something in front of 93 even. And because they could always announce an extension at any point, I'd have a stop order. The deadline is today, so if they're going to announce an extension on the deal, you got to figure that it's going to be today. Meta could be a little bit more interesting on the Llama 2 news. Yes, it's their language model thing is called Llama. Llama Llama Red Pajama. That is a book I've read way too many times to my daughter, and that's what I think of. Maybe it's only me that thinks of that when I'm going to be looking at every single one of these press releases. I'm just going to chuckle when they say llama. Seems ridiculous, but that's fine. It's yada, yada, yada AI, and it's their version of it. I do like where this is bouncing off 312. Like, you always want to see it. When it snaps back, what's it grinding into and holding? Previous high. So it's holding, like when Microsoft had its news, it spiked to 312. In the morning, it spiked to 312. When it pulled back off of its news, it came down and bouncing off of 312. So if there's a long that isn't 315 breaking out, or I guess maybe a little bit higher than that, I suppose it would be 312 retesting back in. So Marvell, while it's doing absolutely nothing right now, I think there's a chance we could look at that 312 level, maybe a failed breakdown at that price, something tight to that 312 area on Meta for a secondary push. The market seems to want 16,000. Are we really getting there without Apple going green, without Meta taking out some fresh highs, without Microsoft re-challenging the top? What's going to get the NASDAQ there besides just T to the S to the L to the A?
Yeah, that Tesla is actually starting to fly up right now through 291.50. What was yesterday? Yeah, yesterday's high is 292.25. So, you know, getting some new levels on Tesla, that could be interesting going into this afternoon. I think if Tesla's going to fly, then maybe that Microsoft breakout at 365, come on, load, is better than the failure that I was talking about. Like, maybe this takes out 365 and keeps going right now, given that the NASDAQ is just shooting straight through the high as we speak. And if Tesla's going to help carry the market, you know, Microsoft's probably going with it. So, yeah, maybe not that failure at 365. I think maybe looking for the long into Microsoft. If we're just going to squeeze into the close here, probably don't want to be trying to get short again on these tech names. So, maybe we're due for 7 or 8% today on Microsoft. Take out a new high, get to 370. I mean, there's no resistance left. We are at all-time high now, so any breakout has the possibility of infinity to it here on Microsoft today.
All right, Palantir gives you a great opportunity to pick some up at lower prices this morning. Just trying to grab this note again. There's another government contract announced this morning. For PLTR, this was what I was talking about. If you go back to yesterday, ends up being support around this 1725, 1730 area. I mean, midday yesterday after the huge move up, but also into the close, we get that move even higher than that. If you zoom out a little bit, still a great look on the daily chart, recent highs for Palantir. These levels, though, however, guys, if you were a little bit of hindsight today, great trade if you were sitting there waiting this morning.
Yeah, I say this time and time again, but you have to do more than just sort of have an idea of what the levels are. You also need to be able to trade around them. So 1720, that was it yesterday. Like, after you miss the early move, or like, yeah, you know, it breaks this line, was resistance before, you kind of go for the dip buy in there late on the move, you catch a little bit of the party. So when it started rolling over and not giving the 18 break, just got into Meta, that's pulling back. I didn't really, it got there so fast, I wasn't really prepared. Like, it was breaking down at 18, and I was looking for the breakout of the high of the day on Palantir, which is great. It didn't break the high, so I didn't get in. But once it started falling, it wasn't down there for very long. Like, I'm not saying you sit there with an order in front of 1720, but maybe an alert when it gets through 40 or something. So when it's down there, like, it's a pretty quick wick, and then you have your one chance to get in at 940. Off the higher low, you get some 30s in there, and you're absolutely laughing. I kind of FOMO'd, I think, in getting a break at 80, scalped some out for a win, and then it took the L. I made the mistake of shorting this several times into that high of the day, because it wasn't the high of the day. It was 18 had like 1 million shares on it, and so I started shorting the 18 level, despite the fact that 1810 was the top. So, and then when I reversed long at 18 and was wondering why it was not going through and winning through that 10 level, it's like, oh yeah, that's why, because that's where it failed in the pre-market. Got out of that one at break even because I got slipped to 1804 on the reversal to the long. It's a bit of frustration for me on Palantir. I'm not doing much with it. I've been looking for it to break that 1810 again, but I have to get over to Meta because Meta, as I said, just made that little bit of a dip. So 312 on Meta. Bingo, bango, bongo. Bob is your uncle. Prad is your DJ. Although, you know what, I can't call Prad the DJ. Like, he had that great beat, and so I want to call him like DJ Prad and give him respect for that. But then he said some crap like Lil Wayne being the best living rapper, which I can't live with. So anyways, Meta, 312 dip. I got 312.22 because it's a number I bid a lot, and then got some out in front of 313. I want to see this get back into the high. 315, that's an out 100% this afternoon. 314 next. So let's see if a Meta can hold on to it. I probably don't take Palantir unless it breaks that high of the day, though.
Yeah, I originally had the order to go long Palantir off the open through that 18 price, but all we do is dip straight into 1720 off the open. That breakdown that I said I wasn't going to take in the pre-market happened and was absolutely beautiful. But, you know, we soak up the whole dip and do the breakout. I didn't have that breakout trade of the 18 level earlier. It gives you 12 or 13 cents, but I mean, that's not really what you're looking for. You really want to take out that pre-market high and keep going. But, you know, it did a bit of volume below. It seems to be making higher lows and kind of just compressing into, you know, whatever this is, 1805, 1807. That would be the next kind of lower high. And I'm thinking that we can break out. So I am long at like this $18. Right when it was kind of reserving there and then gets back above, was able to get like $18.50. And we'll see if it can keep going. I don't know on Palantir today. It seems like kind of muted action. Figured that we could get into like 19. I think now maybe the target is 18.25 by the end of the day. Volume's kind of slowed down here. Maybe we get crazy back over 18.10, but I don't know. I'm not that hopeful on this one, especially with the market like absolutely ripping up and Palantir's still just kind of hanging out here. But we'll see how this one goes.
All right, another one that was setting up to be pretty strong here in the pre-market this morning ends up giving you a bit of a dip buy opportunity. Sunrun, I was talking about. Not a lot of volume on this gap to the upside this morning after, who was it again? Morgan Stanley with that upgrade to outperform, and a really positive note pointing to further demand. To the number comes back into, meanwhile, yesterday's high before a better part of $2 bounce straight back to session highs, guys, for Sunrun. What a wild ride this one was today.
So the good part about it, despite the fact I know neither one of us is looking at that stock at 9:30 in the morning. So, and we said this in the pre-market prep when we're running it down, but we did talk about specifically a certain setup at the open, which would be like a failed breakdown for a long, a failed breakout for a short. If you're looking at the top, this was the failed breakdown idea. Yesterday's high, that's 22.15. You have a 21.80 close, which is supporting underneath it, and of course you've got 22 even. That's a nice round number. The pre-market low was just above that at 22.25. So wicks underneath that does not break any of those aforementioned levels. So wicks underneath the pre-market low doesn't break the previous high, doesn't sniff 22, doesn't sniff 21.80. So that's your hold. If any of those levels hold, I'd be looking long, right? And they all hold. Where you're able to get in, that's tricky because I don't know what liquidity is like at that time on Sunrun because I wasn't looking at it, but you're getting something underneath 22.50. To the long side, it goes right to the pre-market high and you're laughing. But if you didn't get out, it comes right back to the bottom. Would I test that a second time? I don't know if you test that a second time, to be honest with you. If it wants to retake some of those lows, I kind of feel like that's a little bit too much coming back in to said downside. Just to update the position. So as quickly as we got that 312 right up into like 313, we're right back into 312 on Meta. And part of this could be where the NASDAQ is at. You're going to have some sellers in front of 16,000, and we're getting eerily close to it. So, you know, take your profit, ring the register a little bit if you can get it. And I'll be careful reloading up here as well. Like yesterday, the longs definitely paid out in the afternoon. Some of these being a little bit news-based and chasing the move to the upside, if the market wants to pull back, these could pull back in rather heavily. Like you can see VWAP's $2 below, so I wouldn't hold this $2 against me. I'm getting out right underneath that 312. 311.80 essentially is my out for that Meta reload we just took. I don't see a trade for Sunrun personally.
No, I think you go see that bottom again, you're probably breaking it and probably flushing through it. When we saw that initial move up, I was kind of thinking, oh, like, do we take out the high now? And then this is, you know, that's like the really big miss, like that upstart yesterday. But ended up being
upstairs.
kind of a dud. But I mean, you get like $1.50 on a $22 stock. That's pretty good. That is pretty good.
You
That
can't
would've been
complain
nice.
about that.
No,
Like
you can't complain.
It's not a 10% move, but you get spoiled by squeeze names and all that junk. Like if you're
Yeah.
getting a 5% move rather clean with a really tight stop, there is nothing to complain about as a trader. Like that is pretty damn good.
Yeah, and that risk reward.
Brendo.
Right, Apple was the bottom of the list there this morning. We were discussing a couple of positive notes that came out not only yesterday, but this morning from analysts pointing to further upside for this one as well. Speaking of, I don't know if it's the NASDAQ dragging Apple up or vice versa here. I guess we're still a little bit relatively weak for Apple versus the rest, but nice bounce right across the board here for NASDAQ names today.
Yeah, we sat down thinking about an all-time high break on Apple. And we're still thinking, oh, I have to take a position. When next fill, you guys will see the position board come back. Now we're thinking about the same thing, but there is red to green. Red to green, believe it or not, is 194 because we closed yesterday at 193.99. Thank you very much, Apple, for that close because we like close prices as being significant. So instead of necessarily waiting around for 194.48 or 50, you can take a 94 break, still have the 94.50 break, and cherry on top, the 195 breaks out there. So you got 50-cent scalp trades all afternoon long. All we have to do is get there on Apple. I have not had a long on the dip at the time. The problem with I know this morning I said 192.50 dip buy. That happens at 1 o'clock when everything else was strong. So that's probably the only reason I don't have it. Like that's when you're looking at your Palantirs and the NVIDIAs and the Microsofts when that crazy stuff was happening. I wasn't really thinking about Apple at the bottom once that had happened. Oh, speaking of which, so yeah, we like 194, 194 and a half. Marvell's starting to go because the NASDAQ is going. I just realized I didn't put offers out on Marvell. It's nearing that high of the day, so got to take some out here, got to ring the register, because if we break out that top, I do want to hold through it, but you could always reject this same 65, 70 top. If this breaks out, gets you 66, I think there's a chance at 68, especially if we want a 2% type of afternoon. So let's go arrows up. Apple breakout could be the cherry on top, though.
If the Apple breakout comes in, we just took 16K on the NASDAQ, so just kind of resolving that break as we speak. Another 1% day. Palantir starting to go, and Tesla just took out that 292 price. So getting long just above that, and then looking to add above yesterday's high of day of 292.25 for that move to 295 there. Smaller size on this one, give it a little bit more room down to like 291.5, and then see if we can get that trend move into the close that I was really looking for yesterday, and was okay yesterday, but didn't really give it to you the way that I had hoped. Market currently wicking off of 16,000.
Yeah, I don't love the wick.
The wick, that's kind of uncomfortable. That little wick off 16K, rejecting a key level, but I'll give it a little bit of time to figure that one out. Apple 194 makes sense into that 194.5, I think.
So just a quick update for me. I just took some profit. I said ring register. 16,000 on the NASDAQ just wicked the top at the exact same time as Meta wicked the 313. So if I was flat and thinking short these levels, I'd be looking for a wick top at 16,000 for entry. I know Meta's not at a big level, but I'm going to take that. And if we get back down to 32, 12, this maybe lets me reload the position out there. And I can always I'll find another long somewhere to be able to add to this if we trend up. It's only 220, but if we fail 16,000 and I didn't take anything out of 313, I wouldn't like it. Just because I was asked this at Dollhouse, it's a great question to ask. Oftentimes, if we're sitting in something all day long, I might not talk about it in the afternoon show because it's not really doing anything. And I've been in Nikola for a while. You guys remember from the morning, we were kind of, oops, I went the wrong way there. We're kind of long that original move out there in front of 250. I had like one small ad, but I'm holding less than 10% of what I had from the morning. So it's not doing a ton. It can't seem to break out 260. I'll take some out in front, and kind of take some out in front of 260 and kind of hold the rest to see if it gets back to 75. But that's just that 250 long we had from the morning. It's been holding pretty well. I suppose I could have been aggressively scalping it, but yeah, I doubt I'll be talking too much about that this afternoon, unless it makes a crazy breakout at 260.
Yeah, we'll see where the market goes off of this. Just sitting like 7 handles below that 16,000 right now. That's not looking like a true, wick top kind of flush situation. I think if we get back below like 15,975, that would look pretty bad. But right now, just a little pullback off that high. I'm gonna stop out of Tesla if it holds below 291.50, but then I'd be happy to try to reload in near like that 291 price where we kind of consolidated before. So I think, give this one a little bit of chance to go, give it a chance to take out that high at 292.25, and if that doesn't happen, stop out, try lower. Palantir is still doing nothing, so pretty boring on that one.
I got a question in the chat for you.
Yeah?
Bear to bull 99. Max, what is the teal indicator on your charts?
21 EMA. Exponential moving average, 21 period, 1 minute chart. The classic day trading one that everybody knows, of course, other than the 50. The red is the 50 and the yellow or orange is VWAP down there. So those are the 3 that I use. They do go on all of my charts, but I only really use them. Well, the 50 period and the 21 I only use on the 1 minute chart, really. I found that like the 21 period on the 5 minute makes some sense because it ends up just being like the 100 period on the 1 minute that I know people do look at.
Oh, so you get like double barrel action.
Yeah, but I'm not like really.
But it's
it
important just because they're good questions, right? Like if you don't know what the time frame on our charts is, it's hard to see if we don't say it. What the time frame is, what the indicators might be, just because we're showing you visually our charts. I only have VWAP on my intraday chart. Like I have a 3 minute up and a 15 minute. Those only have VWAP on them. I don't really use even VWAP on my 15. Do I even bother? Yeah, I don't even bother putting in. I have it on sometimes, but then I usually use VWAP on my shortest duration time frame chart. But that's all it is. We always try to get you some interesting tidbits and different perspectives on the market, but there's no such thing as a bad question. I do have that ATVI now. Shorting ATVI in front of 93 is not a market bet that we're failing 16,000. I think that should be relatively obvious. I don't think this is going to follow the market necessarily. So if we fail here, it probably doesn't hurt, I suppose, but this is just about shorting the morning high. It's been resistance up at this price. If it breaks out, I'd probably give it a penny or two past 93, and that's it. I don't think we get 50s like you would have had in the morning if you shorted this price, but I hated myself for not getting it the first time. So we're in it now. If I get more at 97 or 98, that's the only place I'm adding. I'm adding at better prices, not necessarily worse here in ATVI. My first trade of the day, which is kind of crazy because I came in yesterday with the notion of the maximum number of execution that I was going to have and the maximum amount of risk was going to be on ATVI yesterday, and it was great. It should have been better. And then today, I don't even make a single trade on it. That's how the market goes sometimes. So it's already starting to work. Are we not going to allow Tesla to 300 crypto skits? We've come this far. Well, I don't know what you want us to do about it. We can talk up how strong it's been. It's at 91. I don't know if we can talk it up $8. That's just not how it works. I feel like it wants to get there, but you got earnings tomorrow.
That's the thing.
Like, what would you, you think it's going to break it? Are we breaking it today? Earnings. I could see it breaking. I could see it breaking it tomorrow into earnings.
Yeah.
Obviously, breaking 300 on earnings. That's just, of course, that could happen, but it's a little bit more difficult to say that you're going to break it before. I'd love to see it happen because I think it's an exciting trade, but until then, it's got room to run. It hasn't even taken out yesterday's high yet. Brendo.
Yeah, rundown brought to you by Trade Ideas, real-time scanning and alerting used on the desk by everyone you see on the show. See what's moving in the moment. Check out the QR code, bottom right corner of the screen, guys. Take advantage of this if you haven't. Great deal, 20% off. TraderTv.20. Shout out to our friends over at Trade Ideas.
There we go. So we're done the rundown there, and that is worth mentioning because, like, one of the reasons I always look up if you see me looking up, I'm doing two things. I'm looking at some of the charts, different time frames on the individual names I'm looking at, not just the one chart that you guys see on the show, or I'm pulling up my trade ideas. Not just to be able to see like information on the individual names, like, okay, what's a 52-week high, what's a float, all that nonsense. But I have higher time frame charts and some scanners that I like to run up there on trade ideas. I'll show you this from time to time. Tesla, when I was just mentioning, it's trying to break through yesterday's top. Like 292 is still a bit of resistance on it. However, I know why you want 300. 300 is only psychological. This has like 309 to 312 as resistance on the weekly. So when you pull it back a little bit further, you could break 300 and have $10 worth of room to get to the next resistance on the higher time frame chart, which I think is pretty interesting for Tesla. Can we get there? Let's worry about breaking yesterday's high first. I want this market to go because I'm still looking for the longs above 16,000. Meta long, Marvell long, Nikola doesn't count, and my only short ATV, I should not care. Let's see. I mean, Apple is the only thing I think imminently possibly getting me into a new position because that's a 194 breakout. But even this is kind of slowing down at 193.80. And I do try to clean up these wicks on my Apple chart, but they just keep coming right back in. I've done it so many times that I might just stop because eventually it's going to crash the chart. These dark pool wicks just keep coming back in, but you get the idea. 94 for a break. What else we got? Is there anything? I haven't looked for any small. I haven't seen any small caps that are moving. Netflix is not chilling out at all today. It is. Let's just say it's a little bit strong. I didn't really have anything.
Through 470.
Yeah, it's through 470. It just continues to churn. I don't know that I want to chase this move. It's already hard enough to structure trades on Netflix, and I feel as if the best risk to reward trade that sets up would have been the fail breakdown at 450. There were a lot of those this morning. Fail break at the low of a key level, get it on the way back up. The long through previous high, like that kind of shakes you out for a couple of bucks here. Would have been pretty difficult to get that long and hold on to it if you're more of a scalper on breaks. 460 was not terribly clean, but then really good, like 462 after the fact. Chasing up top here, I don't know if I can bring myself to do it on Netflix. You're into air. You're into air. Like this has to pull all the way back to the quadunks from earnings a couple of years ago. There you go. You got to pull like the second quad. There we go. You got to pull this one. You got to get through 500, and that's like you have to clear 500 before next resistance on Netflix. Wow.
Yeah, that's the classic shorts getting squeezed out into earnings play that I feel like has happened the last 2 or 3 times on Netflix that we just run like crazy into earnings on that name. Not seeing that yet on Tesla, but I mean, if we did take out 300 tomorrow, which I could totally see happening, especially if we hold this 16K, that could be something. Microsoft, interestingly, did wick that 365 price at the same time as the market was wicking that 16K. Pulls back $1, but now we're right back into 365. So I'm kind of expecting that to break now. I've got the Apple long break order in. So I don't think I need to take a Microsoft long break as well at the same time, but Microsoft taking out 365 again could definitely get us accelerated away from that 16K price, which we are just kind of chopping around at the moment. Can't say that I expected us to be at 16K this summer, but happy that we're here. Market has been pretty nuts for the last couple of months and absolutely not stopping. That Tesla position, just waiting on that 292 to break. I did add a little bit at 292 again, thinking that it was breaking, but it actually wasn't, so it's all right. But looking to add the same amount of size above the high here of 292.25 to see if it can trend into 294 by the end of the day. I think that's like a pretty reasonable target. I don't think you're getting 295, 296 today. Obviously, Tesla does have the ability to make that move. We've seen it many times, but I don't know. I'm not. Market's at the high right now. Tesla is just below yesterday's high, so I don't think that there's that much room in it unless Apple actually takes out like 195 and trends to 196 or something, and we're trading at 16,250 by the end of the day, which anything's possible, I guess. And Palantir is still doing nothing. I feel like I should just get out of it for the 3-cent win there. Nothing happening at all on Palantir. Doesn't want to go, doesn't want to break down. Really, maybe you just take a high of daybreak. Maybe you just take this off and then take a high of daybreak. I just don't see the use taking a loss on something like this when it really is just showing you that it doesn't want to do anything at all.
It's a similar thing. We just got it back, like it was $1 in the money in Meta, and then it just came right back in here. So that 312, it's rejecting 313 again. It's now the second time that that's happened. I've already scalped out there kind of typically one time, so I don't want to do it again. It wasn't a reload in there. Marvell's still holding up. I like this one. You know, if we do take out 16,000, I feel like this is the one that has a really good chance to play some catch up because it hasn't even gone through the day's high, point to over there, not when it's going to happen. I kind of feel like I'm manifesting that it's going to make the breakout if I point to the high of the day and then put it on the next candle by doing this instead of this. Like that's my way of willing the stock to make the break. I did get that short in ATVI, added to it, was able to get some at 97. My price is 97.5, so I don't know how big you'd want to ever go on something like this. I like the long when it broke out this price a little bit better in the afternoon, and that was absolutely fantastic. But you know, I got to stop out in front of that high. If it breaks it, it breaks it. And guess what bounced off 102, Max?
No.
Yeah, it did.
Oh.
I was waiting for 101. I'm zooming out so you can maybe 15 minutes going to be better here. Here we go. I was waiting for a test down toward like 100 and 101 for a Coinbase long. But somebody I know liked 102.
Yeah, I did like that 102 price. I took it off the charts because I think the Microsoft move, I was like, all right, large caps are going. Let's change the charts all up to large caps.
Fair.
And took Coinbase off based on the fact that it was kind of screaming down as well. And Brad was talking about it going to zero, so I kind of figured, okay, we'll be breaking 100, and you know, I won't have a trade on this, but yeah, bounces right off that 102. Even gives you a little bit of a fail breakdown below it, which is the way that I like to execute these trades. Way she goes on that one. Can't have them all, but yeah, that would have been a good little retracement back into 104.5. And I mean, you could probably think that you're going to get VWAP today. Maybe not, but oh, Tesla's through the high as well. So added to Tesla there through the high.
Oh, it broke out. Oh, I only had the Apple break.
Yep. Did Apple?
No, it didn't. I
didn't
yet. I didn't throw a Tesla order because of Apple.
Yeah. So just made a new high at 292.50 exactly. Next level 293 obviously, and I don't know that I actually have any levels all the way up here on my chart. I think it was just 290 and then 300. As
right.
I look back, yeah, 300 is the next level. I don't think we're getting there today. I don't think expecting 300 today is a reasonable way to play Tesla.
So you're saying 300 Tesla?
But, I mean, that is the next level. So that's probably where they gap it to tomorrow morning, and then we're getting chopped around trying to go long the thing at like 298 into that 300, 302 test tomorrow. But we'll see what happens on this one. I think, you know, 293, 294, definitely a reasonable target on Tesla. We can move $2 very, very quickly on this name, although really not going anywhere off this high at the moment. So we'll see. I think the first profit target would be taking like a quarter off above 293. Like see where that breaks to, wherever it breaks to, whether that's 10 cents, 30 cents, 50 cents, you just take something off there, and then, you know, kind of scalping off along the way on this one. Palantir, I think I'm just going to punch out of because I'm just done with that. So
it won't break 18 though, and you're long at 18.
I was done with it.
Okay, fair enough.
Too much attention. We'll just get out of that one. I feel like it's not going to go. It looks like it wants to break. And if it does break 18, it's probably going to like 17.96, and then you're losing 4 cents when you can just take the 1 cent profit, whatever.
That's fair. We always say this in the afternoon. It's very different in the morning and the afternoon. If in the morning you have something that sets up, you can hold it the entire morning if it doesn't give you a reason to get out. But in the afternoon, if it ain't moving, then as a day trader, you do have a limit. Like you got 4 o'clock that's in there.
Yeah.
And then you only have so much time to make the trades. You want to make sure you're trading what is moving. What had been moving, if NVIDIA doesn't break the high, then I have less of an opportunity for Marvell to obviously break the high. It's okay because it's holding in the money, but this is just rejecting off 427. I didn't really trade NVIDIA that aggressively. I had a quick breakout at 70 that I didn't hold on to, and then I had a breakout at 75 that I didn't hold on to. I like the Marvell setup on the daily chart a little bit better, but the other thing, I thought we'd get a reload at 312 on Meta. That just bounced off 312.30, so it's kind of heading back to the upside. This, I got to find a way to add to this. If we get to 315, I need to have added either off the 312 level or maybe off the 313 hold, break of the local high here at 313.50 would be one way to go. There are some small caps moving. I see some people talking about Alibaba a few times today. There have been comments about Alibaba because a lot of the Chinese ADRs did not have the best morning initially. It had a very bullish bounce and then failed a pre-market high, but this has held 90 like an absolute champion. So 90.20 into VWAP here. I never like trading these things for big moves, Chinese ADRs in the afternoon, because I feel like the moves aren't that big. But BABA, if it can get and hold above VWAP, is a good little play. As I did say, if the market pulls back, fine, but I don't think that's what the ATVI play is for me. That's starting to come in the money. This is a scalp play. Going to get some out off the previous highs. Going to get some out in front of 80. Going to get it all out in front of VWAP. So going to ring the register here. I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth. This short is about the 93 level and the 93 level alone. It tagged it. I got 97.5 short. You'll see my price is 98 because that's where I was taking fills at 97 and 98 even. So we're going to get out all the way down. Same as yesterday, just a different direction. We're long 93s. Today we're now shorting that 93 level. FFIE Paul Gurnett just said, Randy's favorite, I don't know if it's his favorite, but he did make a wild call one morning on Faraday Futures. It's at 30 cents. I want to say it was at 25 cents when Randy talked positively about it. I could be wrong about it, but I want to say it was sometime around here, and then Faraday pumped to 50, and then came right back to 20 cents. Well, guess what? It's going again. Up 10%, but you pull out the daily chart so I can show you two big levels right here at 34 on the daily, and then, of course, if it got to 50 cents, one of those matters today. The other one does not matter today. 50 does not matter today, obviously. But if it can break the top, that 34 level, you look at that little gap fill to the downside, breaks out at 34 again, that could be spicy. Resistance at 40, resistance at 50. Needs to pick up volume a little bit, but that's definitely a good call out. So I'm with you on it. Just I think it needs to get through that 34 first.
I feel like I was trading that one when it went through $1 one day. It sounds very familiar. There was one that got like to 97 cents or something, and I was long, and then it flushed and halted down a bunch of times and ended up at like 20 cents that day. I got out for like a 2-cent loss or whatever because I had to stop.
A stock was failed at 97 and got to 20 cents that day.
Yeah.
What the hell was I doing that day?
I think you were trading it. It might not have been 20 cents. It might have been 30 cents, but it like did like
I missed a golden
down.
short. I suck.
It was crazy. It was truly crazy. It might have even been 99 cents that it got to, and then just doesn't break it and completely dies.
I'm looking for it.
It might not be that one.
It might not be. Look, it might not be Faraday. I'm just looking on the chart because it doesn't ring a bell. I feel like if Faraday had done this in the last year, I'd remember trying to short something at $1 that worked out that well. Because the biggest, Sundial's the only one that comes to mind, and that was like 30 cents. That was to 70, and that was huge. To
this
20
one
is
was
free
like
money.
multiple halts down, got to like 20 or 30 cents. It was only a couple months ago. I'll have to figure out that.
If you guys know
I'm
what
sure
it is.
somebody in the chat knows what the ticker is. I'm sure they were short.
You guys will figure out. NVIDIA running, Tesla running. You got Tesla.
Oh, yeah. I
mean,
got Tesla.
I don't know. I'm looking at Marvell, and it's not really going, and NVIDIA is now through that 76 level. It's like just go long NVIDIA could be the other way to play it. 480 is going to be in play here. There's almost no question about it.
480 break the second time makes a lot of sense to me. It's just like how much time is left to get that done. We have over an hour, so if we get there really quickly, I think that makes sense. I think if you're getting there with the last half an hour, you're probably getting chopped around. There's probably not enough volume to take you to where you need to go on a NVIDIA break that you're probably risking 60 cents to $1 on. But yeah, that's a great move. I was long NVIDIA at that 475 price, but just didn't have the juice to go. Didn't have the juice to get through 476. and hold above 476, but we're there now. Microsoft back above that key 365 price. Apple's heading into its price. Tesla is heading into that 293, so all the large caps starting to go.
So I just saw this now because we're going over some stocks. But for those of you that are wondering where Sean is, he's got a couple of days off. He's coming back. I got this video that he just posted. So that's, okay, it's hard to see. I think that was Baron, and this should be Gia. That's his daughter. This is Sean, and that's Baron. I'm trying to see where this was. He must have tweeted exactly where this was. You guys can just check his Twitter. I know Marissa had that tweeted out. So he's enjoying his time off. He's riding the ups and downs of some dunes, it looks like. Although like Brendan made a comment in our chat that I'll call it up. He was like, where's the jump? Like nobody did a jump off that. I'm expecting that Gia would have gone nuts off that little jump. You know she's athletic enough to do that. So he's enjoying himself. He's back tomorrow just in time for earnings, obviously. Yeah, take the Monday and the Tuesday off. We'll come right back in for Tesla earnings. Of course you will. But yeah, we'll get the ups and downs in this market, and you're going to get, come on, Apple. I should have taken the break on NVIDIA. I said I prioritized Apple for 194, and it's not getting there. NVIDIA 475. At least it should drag Marvell to the upside. Meta's kind of stalled out. Gave you the initial dollar move. Now it's only like 30, 40 cents in the money at best. 50 cents in the money now. I'm looking for a break of 315, 313.50, and then we can get to 315. Want a bigger move to the upside. ATVI, I guess I should be even more aggressive scalping. I got a third out, and it's right back up at 93. This could be a bit bullish. Remember, on the backside here, they could always make an announcement on that extension, which that could be problematic. I could see it popping to 93.50 if they made some late announcement that they got an extension on the deal, which is the deadline today. So I'm not going to reload this trade. I really don't think that makes a lot of sense. It gave you like 7 or 8 cents with 3 cents worth of risk. I could have taken it all out. I decided not to. But I'm not going to let this go too far against me. I'm just going to stop out if it breaks that high. Lion Trade, thoughts on AT&T stock? Maybe it's made a bottom. I mean, for like I really could not pretend to be an expert on any of these communication companies. So let's get that one out of the way. You got to feel at some point, whether it's Verizon, I don't know, any of these beaten up legacy type names, you got to think there's a bottom. I just have no bloody clue where it is. Like this trend is tremendous to the downside. What's convincing you that this trend is done on AT&T? $16 is last resistance. That is a long time ago, even though it was like a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago. The 50 period is at 16. The 200's at $18. You just recently broke the 52-week low like 2 days ago. Flat bottom break through 14.5, and you still haven't made a bottom. So if you're bottom hunting here, you're looking for a consolidation low. I'm just saying maybe you've got it today. Like it's a big maybe because it has this 1350 that's held for 2 days, but it also rejected a bounce this morning. So it was trying to make a bottom, rejected 14, and came right back into that low. That's not very bullish. So I don't know. The trend is your friend. It's a short till it's not. At this point, breaking 14 is the absolute bare minimum. So I wouldn't touch it for any kind of a long just yet. I don't see a short entry. A flat bottom break here is kind of interesting. It closed at 13.53. It's dead flat today. It rejected a breakout. Probably not what you wanted to hear, but a break of yesterday's low is 13.48. Now you kind of piqued my interest because that looks like a short through yesterday's low. 13.43, the previous close is 53. You could risk less than 10 cents to short one of the weakest names in the market at the low of the day if it breaks down.
Yeah.
Like that's what I would be doing as a day trader until it makes some kind of a move that confirms a bottom.
I didn't read too much into this story with the lead.
I don't know much about this
or whatever.
Thing,
but the amount of cable that AT&T would have across the U.S. I mean, if they were forced to remediate this lead issue, I don't know, but like the amount of money that could cost.
You know what? Actually, I'm gonna ask my dad tonight. My dad was in telecommunications for his entire career. He's an engineer with Bell, then Nortel up here in Canada. So I think he'd have a good handle on like the actual ridiculous cost that could be. I have no handle on that. So maybe it's a disaster. Maybe it's a nothing burger. I'm just not really sure. how big a deal that is. So I don't want to comment on it fundamentally.
Yeah. Tesla through the high, 293.50, the new high. I actually added another lot at 293 there, just because the market was kind of taking out highs. It looks like Apple wants to go as well. And yeah, I punched out of that Palantir. Probably shouldn't have done that. That is now at the high again, 1813. So bit of a mistake there, but this Tesla is definitely making up for that. And Apple's about to take out that 194 price, which I do have the stop to go long there. AAPL. So yeah, we will see what happens with that breakout as it comes in. Yesterday's 194 breakout was good. It gave you 30 cents right into the close. This time we have more than an hour left. We have much more time left for this breakout to resolve to get into that all-time high of 194.48. Actually, I don't know exactly what time we took the breakout yesterday, but it felt like there wasn't a tremendous amount of time on yesterday's breakout, and we have over an hour to get this one done. So I feel like, you know, we could very well see all-time highs. The market has not seen these prices in 2023. I don't even know when the last time we did see these prices on NASDAQ was. Oh no, because we have those. The contracts change, so I can't even look back to when the last time we saw 16K on NASDAQ was. I'd have to go on to
just look at the
platform.
Just go to the Qs.
Yeah,
because you look at the equivalent level on the
Yeah,
Qs on the daily, and it'll give you the same thing. I want to get to super chat here quickly because Ian Respeto, what do we think of Netflix and Tesla going into earnings tomorrow? Best guess, of course, based on catalyst for the quarter. News, password sharing crackdown, which has been seen as a net positive for Netflix. The other positive for Netflix would be we have the actor strike going on. It's actually affecting everybody else more than Netflix. And what I want to hear at Netflix is they get more cost cutting in there. That's just going to scare more shorts and just cause that run to 500. Because if they get more efficient, as they're the only ones making money in the streaming game, I think it's positive for them. But you need to see that in the call. For deliveries for Tesla, I mean, they just seem to always beat. So, you know what? The margin probably matters more. Right, like this is like you saw what happened to Ford yesterday. It was yesterday, right? Like Ford cut the F-150 Lightning by 10%. They're 10,000, not 10%, 10,000 off the cost, and everyone's worried about the margins. So when Tesla says margins are going to come in, and they were above 20, are they like what does that mean? Are they going to come in too heavily, and it drops to like the mid-teens there, like the legacy guys? That could put pressure on the stock. But if the margins hold up close to the 20% mark, and Tesla could be laughing and you see that 300 level. So it's more about what you're looking for individually.
There's no way they don't crush revenue, right?
Well,
if they're dropping prices all the time and increasing production,
yeah,
I feel like they have to crush revenue. But if all these price cuts kill their margins,
the margins are what we care about.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Apple.
It's January 2022, by the way, the last time we saw these prices on the Qs.
Go to
not too far away. I mean, yeah, we're really breaking out here on the monthly, on QQQ, NASDAQ, whatever you want to use there. A year and a half that we haven't seen these prices. So 16K, significant. I really did not think that we would be here right now. But Apple just turned off that 194. It does say high. Oh no, that was a pre-market high, 194.04. So
I saw 97.
Yeah, 97's on my other charts over there. So haven't done it yet, which means there's more catalyst to go in the market to make things more spicy into this close. Tesla not stopping, just kind of accelerating off of the 21 EMA here, starting to get a little more aggressive. I have 30% out of this one. That Palantir just wicked high of day again. So anybody that has been waiting on that breakout more patiently than
there's no volume here.
Yeah. So you got to figure if you're going to do a double top like that with no volume going into the end of the day. And I mean, I imagine there's people who are long throughout the day waiting for this breakout. I think unless you get back to that price pretty quickly, you're probably coming down.
I just want people to see when we say there's no volume on this move, it's just there you go.
Yeah, like what is this? 180K shares on Palantir is
it's
nothing.
Not a heck of a lot. Like you're doing so much. If the volume picks up, I want the long break on Palantir, but that's anemic at 3 o'clock. Like there needs to be enough of a press to get it to that 18 quarter mark because that's where like you're looking to get the move to quarters and then a continuation above there. If there's no volume now, is there going to be volume above those levels? However, I mean, it doesn't mean the other longs aren't working out. I want Palantir, obviously I want Apple, that goes without saying, but you're above that 16,000 again. The 1% mark is going to be taken out. So we're at the high. The last time we got here in Marvell, I took some out and then did not get the dip buy. I feel like that would be criminal if I didn't do it again. So if we get the dip down to 65.40 and it holds again, then I'm going to take some back into the long side. But I want that top end break. ATVI, just for some, I guess, housekeeping here. There's dark pool wicks out the wazoo. I can tell you it's not breaking 93. It has not broken 93. There have been some dark pool wicks that have managed to give actual prints off the tape, but it has not broken those. If you're at Day Trade the World, and you want to know how not to get stopped on a dark pool wick through an even dollar level, set your stop order to midpoint at a midpoint 01 instead of an 01 as the last price. That way you're not going to get triggered when it just wicks a dark pool above. You might be a little bit slower if you're trying to use that to go long, but it's a good way not to get stopped out if it gives a dark pool wick at 1, because then it needs a midpoint to be 1, which is an actual bid above 93. So that's just a bit of a tidbit if you trade a Day Trade the World. I find it useful if you're shorting in front of a key price, like an even dollar level. I'm going to take more out in front. If it's only 10 cents and I'm risking 3, then I'm going to take more out at this 10-cent level. I'm still holding just under half of the position here on ATVI. This is a pure scalp trade. I don't think it's going to be as big as it was yesterday. AMD's going, see, I want Marvell at the high of the day not breaking, and AMD wants that 118 again. I remember you. We remember 118 from yesterday, Max. Although my chart seems to want to forget about it. Look at that gap on my chart. That's absolutely hilarious. Let's see if my 3 minutes working out a little bit better. There we go. The 3-minute chart, absolutely fine with yesterday's data. We got through 118, topped out at 118.80. So there is room to ride here if you break out this top. At least 70, 80 cents if you make a local high break, which is 118.10-ish. 07 is the absolute top. I have one chip name bomb. I don't know if I want another one in there, but AMD looking pretty solid. You gave up NVIDIA. Tesla probably better. I can't argue with that too much, though.
I mean, risk to reward wise, yeah, Tesla much better, but you know, NVIDIA's at 477.5. I was long 475, so that's a little better. Only 90 something cents in the money on Tesla. I'm kind of expecting 295 at this point, given how aggressive it is and how much buying is going on. I wanted to look at Amazon though. This one was weak today, very weak. Yesterday's close being right around where we are right now, down 0.4. But right when Obi got off the midday show, he was talking about squeeze tape and all this stuff. So I went and had a look at Amazon. We've been consolidating above this 133 since that gap up the other day on good news. And just do a little kind of liquidity grab situation down here, down to 131.5 today. I think, yeah, the low being 131.35, and get right back above it. So this is looking like a stock that has done the down move that it has to kind of fill the gap down to here, and now we can see some higher prices. So going to be throwing that Amazon 134 level up for myself for tomorrow. I don't think that there's necessarily a trade on it today with only an hour left, but good, strong recovery out of this one. Where's that Tesla at? Kind of rejecting high of day, but I don't know. That's that one's stopped all the way down to 292.5.
We got the two bulls. We got 1%. We have 194 incoming. So everything's all good. But if you don't want your trades to turn into whatever the hell just happened to CLBR, remember to do this.
Oh, wow.
Hola, like and subscribe
It's
today.
like a SPAC or something.
Is it another one of those SPACs?
So that's first of all, of course, if you're enjoying the show, if you're enjoying the market being upside, we like the longs obviously this afternoon. They've all been printing pretty well. I don't think there's been a long that hasn't worked out. You got out of Palantir and even that worked. So really the longs are in play. But the CLBR did the absolute classic failed break trade. Like I don't think anything else happened here other than a technical fail at 14. So it tried to break out at 14, and when it gave it up, it didn't. You don't usually see something do this without halts to the downside, but 14 to 11 without a green candle in sight. This is why you take profit on runners, because as quickly as they come up, like everyone always says, like when I was a trainee, I just remember the saying, It goes up like an escalator and down like an elevator. That's how things work. No matter how fast you think a stock has moved up, on the way down, it can go twice as fast. And it should be for obvious reasons, because the lack of a bid causes more panic than the lack of an offer. And if you've never been involved in something, like if you look at the banking names, that's a good example of it. When there's no bid, it gets really, really ugly. When there's no offer, people still have to buy at the highs, which psychologically is a little bit different in the other direction. AMD, we were just talking about how strong this bad boy is. Advanced Micro Comp SRX, nobody calls it Advanced Micro Devices, it's AMD. AMDizzle, it's above 118, but when I was looking at this, we closed at 32. The pre-market resistance was a little bit higher, I thought. Maybe it is and then the local top was above 118 anyways just now. So it kind of needs to punch through the quarter mark, and then I think you got some real stair step to the upside and some get up. I don't know what's going on with Meta, but Meta's problem is maybe 16,000. It's running out of steam. So I have not added. It's now putting in a lower high, which means I don't want to add again. I think the initial dip off the 312 level was good. Any further one while it's continuing to make lower highs after the Microsoft partnership news, no bueno for me. I don't mind hanging on to Marvell because I feel like it can follow in the chip name coattails like NVIDIA, but Meta's trying to do its own thing here, and if 16,000 doesn't hold, then Meta's no good. I don't really have it. There should be a short idea up here. That's the one thing I'm looking for next. Where's the short if 16,000 fails? And I got to find something. ATVI doesn't count to me.
I think everybody's kind of problem right now in the market is that Microsoft doesn't want to hold that 365 price. Microsoft looking pretty weak. It looks like that short off 365 was the way to play this one. Every time it gets back above there, it's coming back down very quickly. I think you could see this 362.75 kind of price breakdown. Maybe you could even take like a 363 breakdown if the market's going to give it up. Tesla I just added to at 293, which is looking like a not great decision. If we do, I mean, the stop is still the same. You just lose a little bit more if it does get stopped out. I do believe this trade will be profitable regardless because we had these fills down here at 292. So should be fine either way. If we break down below this 50 period and stay there, then I'll be getting out of Tesla. And that CLBR is a SPAC. It's one of those SPACs that are randomly running.
A long 10?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess long through 10.
We're joking.
I don't really know. Oh, what happened there?
We only say that because most SPACs. I think it's all SPACs. I don't know if it's all or most, but that $10 level, that's what you get if you don't like the deal. If there even is a deal in this particular case. I just saw something. If we fail 16,000, I mean Bitcoin's under 30,000, and Coinbase for the last. I mean, underneath 110, I mean, it's been a short at 110. And I heard Prad regret the 105 miss for a short. Well, 105 is kind of in play right now. If you're stalling out here in what was a downward trending stock and you're stalling out at 104.5, so the over-under trade here of I guess it's like over-under breaking this 104.50, shorting into 105 and giving it to 05, and then being able to sit in this. If the market flushes, I can't imagine Coinbase is going to have a good close, but stranger things have happened. But this could be one that I can put in the bucket for the short trade. So I'm going to get my orders out there. I want the over, so it has to break the 50 first, look to short it into that 105 level. So I'll wet the beak, probably in the 70 range, and then see what we can get. Apple, I'm not canceling the 194 breakout unless Apple gets to VWAP or something, or at least breaks 193.5. If it gets to VWAP for sure. But I'm not giving up on it just yet. I think there's still a little bit of strength in this market. And when we tested 16,000, I mean, it was Apple that turned around at that 94. So if we're going to take out the top, it might as well still be Apple going red to green. Apple going green is 1% on the NASDAQ. It has so much room to be able to catch up to the rest of the market here. I mean, the ES, if you gauge into the ES, that's up because of the banks. But I just think there's so much room for this to catch up in Apple. I want to give it a chance. I'm still taking that breakout at 94. Market be damned.
Yeah, it's the second time today that I've accidentally stopped out of Tesla. So this time getting back in because last time we were all the way down at, what was it, 287.50 that I accidentally stopped out before. That would have been a decent hold. Not that I would have actually been holding it all the way up to this 294. Very likely, maybe some minimum amount of size just to say that I did it. But yeah, back in here in the 20s. We'll stop out at the low of this move. Not going to add anymore. I don't think adding with such a small amount of time left in the day makes sense. But I think that we can get through that 294 price if. Well, I mean, this dip on the market was just bought up very quickly. So 16K looking like it maybe wants to hold going into the close. So you do want to be long something if you want to be involved. Although maybe Microsoft 365 is still a price that you would want to short at. Palantir is right back to that high of day, interestingly.
Volume,
But there is no volume, so I don't think that's worth a shot for me. Apple's only 20 cents away as well, so I still like Apple. And I'm just noticing AI getting right back to that 42 level. So does AI want to squeeze into the close? Is this one of those trades where...
Did you say 42?
Yeah, it topped out at 40... Oh, it did a 42 fail break earlier on in the day, got to 42.05, and then comes all the way back down into 40.80. I think that if you're breaking 42 again, there's potential for a bit of a move up. Volume's kind of light at 18.5 million today, but I've seen it lighter on this name before.
Whoa.
I think that could be something. I may take that breakout if we get there. And it is doing volume. It has to, do volume going into that breakout in order to take it. But it'd be like small size, looking for, $1 on that move up probably.
Well, that didn't last long. I finally find something. Okay, well, if we fail 16,000, the one stock I like short that we'll try shorting, ATVI doesn't count. Like I said, let's go Coinbase. Coinbase goes in. I get the beak at 70. I wait for it to test 05. It wicks 05. I get it. I add as it wicks the 05 level. Set my stop at the high, and then it probably breaks out the high. That didn't last very long, but hey, we adhered to our stop at least. That's pretty crazy. You got to take those outs there. And we're talking about missing. I was talking about missing trades. To somebody in the chat just now, it's okay to miss trades. It's just a reason why you miss a trade. Why were you not in, if I'm not in the Coinbase 110 short, let's just say, or the 102 long, whatever it might be, what was my reason for doing so? Was it because I didn't set an alert? Was it because I wasn't paying attention? If it's because I prioritized another stock that in that moment I thought was better, then you got to live with that. Because you can do the best with the information out in front of you, and we make that call all the time. This is what I'm watching at 9:30. Yes, Sunrun, I like that setup for the wick bottom, but that was not on the top of the priority list. Anything else that was in play was what I was watching. So I sat there and stared why Palantir didn't break out instead of maybe taking a dip buy in Sunrun. I can live with that 10 times out of 10 because you got to pick and choose at some point. Another stock making a break potentially, SoFi. It's not there yet. $10 is great. That's the daily chart. Yesterday's high is 980. So today's high 975. I wouldn't go for a 975 break, but like Palantir, if it gets through that other high, that looks pretty juicy. I just continue to minor scalp out ATVI, which is not going to be yesterday's trade. What I should be doing is pretty obvious. I should just be shorting 98 and 99 every single time it gets there instead of holding some for a bigger move, and then it goes back, and then it just takes some of that I'm holding out at 90 anyways. So the rinse and repeat is paying you off for a 10-cent scalp trade, but that's not what I'm doing. So I'm not even maximizing this trade because I'm looking for Apple to break 194. I'm looking for Meta to give me a reload opportunity. I'm looking for Palantir to set up for a breakout trade. When really, I could just be shorting the living you-know-what out of 99 and taking 10 cents every single time on ATVI. But I've made my bed, so I guess I'm lying in it at this point.
I feel like we're not giving enough love to NVIDIA here. 478.5. That 480 feels like it's imminent today.
Okay.
I feel like it's not takeable though. Sadly, I think there's not enough time left in the day for that 480 to break and give you the $2 to $5 that you need out of it. But absolutely monster move. Once it finally clears that 476 price, doesn't really look back, and even is nice enough to give you the reload there at 476. Takes you right back into 478.5. Yeah, other than that, Palantir rejects the high again, and Apple's like 10 cents off. So just waiting for that Apple break to come in for the next trade, if there's going to be one. That's probably the only one that I would want going into the close. Although, no. I was going to convince myself to short a fail break of NVIDIA here at the high, but I don't think that's the way to go. This thing is an absolute monster. No shorts on NVIDIA. That's enough NVIDIA trading, only to the long side for me.
The trend is your friend, man.
Yeah,
and that goes for all the chips. I'm not looking chip names to the short side. I don't mind. I'll lose on Coinbase. That was a weak stock today, but if the chips want to go up and we're holding 16,000 and all this AI news, and I just want the long. I want to add to Marvell. The question becomes, I'm not going to get 65.40, so is it going to be through 66 even? I'm thinking the answer is likely going to be yes, unless 66 breaks at the same time as Apple breaks 194. If that happens, I'll probably pick Apple, but I like Marvell at these prices. When you show me NVIDIA breaking out and then Marvell just took out the high of the day, I think I want to be adding in this range and give it a chance that it could get to that 68. If we do have a big move left in us in the market, then there's a chance to go higher. Oh my goodness, Garrett just mentioning FFIE again. You made me you made me look. You made me look because I am intrigued by 34 long on FFIE. So when you pull FFIE in the chat with the question marks in there, I'm thinking it's about to break 34, but it's not. It's at 31.5. And the reason I say 34, if you're just tuning in now, when we're asked about this earlier, I said, listen, the last time I made the breakout here, look for the gap fill. If it takes out 34 again, you've got a big gap fill to the upside. Sure, resistance of 40 to 42, but if you don't like 20%, then trading's not your game. You know, like it's only 6 cents, but it's 20%. So, I mean, that's just how it is. It's like when you trade Mullen. Like if you trade Mullen long at 10 cents, if 10 to 13 doesn't excite you on Mullen as a day trader, then just don't. Then you're just a different style of trader. But for a day trader, 30% is 30%, and there's unlimited liquidity on some of these stocks. This is not as good as Mullen, FFIE. That's the first caveat, but it's pretty darn good.
And it's just getting started there. So
if it continues,
and turns into a Mullen kind of situation, I'd be down to trade that. Yeah, 50 break could be awesome. And then like every 5 cents on those things can sometimes be good, or every 1 cent.
You want to churn the profit though, because when Mullen was going, and by the way, Meta's now testing that low. So my stop is under here. That's 311.80. There's still a chance I could bounce reload because the market's strong. So if it holds and shows some green, I jump back into this. But I'm much more interested at this point, if I can add to a chip name, I need to see this hold the bottom, and then we'll get more long. I'm not really seeing that. It looks relatively weak, so I don't want to. It worked, but now it's suddenly counter to the market. And when that's the case, you don't want to fight it too hard. So I'll allow it get into that bottom. I'd either stop me out or show me a reason to jump back into the long trade here on Meta. Like I said, Marvell looks a little more intriguing for that ad. But what I was sort of getting at there is when you're trading those penny stocks, you can want to be a little bit active with them. Like Go EV, I did trade one this morning. I was thinking I can't really show you an example, but maybe I can. Because I traded Go EV this morning, which is a penny stock. And when it broke 74, it's like, yeah, you're taking, when it went through 75, you're taking halves, you're taking sixes. I'm getting 77, 78, out into 79. That way, if it fails 80, there was room to 83, but if it fails 80 and goes all the way back, stopping me out, well, it doesn't matter. I've made money on the way in. And if I had played this bounce a little bit better, I could have had 74 all the way back into 77 a second time. So you take your profit because there's a lot of activity in some of those names for you to take advantage of. Ooh, Meta did just hold.
And Apple getting to high of day as well, 193.97. People in the chat talking about this Rocket Lab.
Oh, they had a successful satellite launch overnight, or this morning, or they launched the satellite successfully, Rocket Lab. I saw it up this morning, but then for whatever reason, I didn't think it was tradable. I don't remember why.
Volume pretty light, but nice move, making highs into the close. It's what you want to see if you're long this name. I don't know that it's much of a. I mean, you could find a way to day trade this. Not for me, certainly. The way it kind of grinds its way up, but nice hold of VWAP here in the middle of the day, and then makes a new high all the way at 780. You got to imagine that $8 is breaking off the open tomorrow on this one. I don't know. Are you guys actually trading this intraday, or is this just something that you're long in the long term and watching? Or I guess 760 kind of looks like, or 750 looking like the key level on this one.
Think about 8 too because of the consolidation at 4. Like look at the long off 4. Like it's a clean double up from the huge support level at $4.
Interesting. Okay.
I always look, if I ever see a penny stock or a small cap name that holds the same low for that long, I'm always thinking, what is the double up point from there? Because psychologically, I started as a penny stock trader, and so a lot of my early swing trading, my personal account was in cheap stocks, and that's one obvious place that people like to take profit. If it consolidates off a $1 bottom, people are selling the crap out of it at 2 and then playing the rest with house money. So we always look for sellers at that price. Oh, there's Apple. Apple broke.
Okay. Apple has broken, goes 4 cents. Let's see if it can take out that pre-market high. Yeah, volume does feel a little bit light, but
it's okay.
This kind of feels like what it did yesterday, actually, at this level. And then it kind of took off after it held for a couple seconds. So let's see if it can do that. Looking for this to get up to yesterday's high, which was 194.32, if I recall. Yes, it was. And then through that high and into all-time high of 194.48. Here we go, Apple. All right. Starting to get going, like 7 cents in the money at the moment, but you know, we can get much higher than this. Not really looking to take profit for my style of trading until we get to like 24 cents, I think is where I will throw an order out once we get there, and then see what happens from there. I think we can get a decent move here on Apple into the close as the market once again at the highs. I didn't even notice that we made a new high at 1630.
We're 20 handles above the 16,000 marks. You've cleared it out. Oh, I thought we're imminently going to get the break of 66 on Marvell, so I had this chart up, but it just wicked 65.98. So we're sitting 50 pennies in the money. It got 60 cents in the money. I'd like a little bit better than that if we can even get it. Maybe you were right to get out of Palantir. It just, as the market got to the high, I just noticed this. It just rejected this 1812, 1813 again. Like, how many times are they going to do this? That's an absolute dog at that price. I still want that to be a breakout long on volume, but it doesn't want to happen. I'm in Apple as well, but I quickly threw a profit take for 20% if I can get the first move. It's 317.
Yeah.
And now that I'm thinking about that at that 16,000 mark, why in the heck did I not immediately take that first press into like 13s? You just take the quick 10-cent scalp. It's 317. We're in a power hour. You don't have a million times. You don't have the rest of the day being 3 or 4 hours. You've got 30 minutes for this to make a move, so you want it to go quickly. AMD's almost at yesterday's high, getting pretty darn close to it. I don't know how many things I'm taking top-end breaks on. I'm already in Marvell, took Apple, want to add to Marvell at 66. Adding AMD to the mix is probably a no-go for me. You pick your poison, what you want to go to the long side in. Microsoft, this is, as you said, Max, I think you're pretty much at this point dead on. Microsoft is holding some things up a little bit. Maybe we're not exploding because Microsoft can't seem to get off the schneid. But it did the heavy lifting early. It shouldn't be required now. Yeah. It was already, it's done the heavy lifting. I don't think we need that just yet. But Microsoft is lagging. I saw reason to get that dip into Meta, but realistically, okay, that's fine. So it bounced off 312 and came into 312.50 and gave a fill, but it's still weak and downward trending. I'm an idiot if I reload this a third time. The market's pressing the highs of the day, and this is whatever. If you're a chart technician, you tell me whatever type of consolidation it is. Right now, it's trying to break it, so I will not reload a third time. I'll be happy the bounce play has even worked a little bit here, but this is not necessarily the one. I'll hold on till it breaks 311.80, but it's not feeling like Meta is going to be the one for me. Hopefully, Apple and Marvell will hold for it.
Everybody in the chat's talking about Google. Why? I mean, nothing's really happening on Google. We're down a bit. It's not like pressing highs, kind of in the middle, bouncing off of the 50 period. I don't really see much on Google. Kind of muted action today. Once again, you know, Google kind of just lagging everything else. Do I have the close price wrong on there? I don't remember Google being at 124. Yeah, I guess I do. Yeah, Google once again lagging, but it did find that support at like 123 there, which I do have a line on my other platform. I don't like trading Google very much. I find that not a lot of people seem to trade Google all that much. I don't know why. I mean, it's one of the bigger companies, but it never has as much volume as the other ones. Only 14 million today. Whatever, Apple, like Tesla's at 100 million.
Apple
Palantir.
33.
Yeah, so there's Nvidia's at 47 million today, and it's a $500 stock. Microsoft at 50 million, obviously, with that huge run up. So, the reason why I might not be paying attention to a Google is, we're in the middle of the range on it, and it doesn't have the volume, it doesn't have the explosiveness. So, if you're going to take a breakout or something on at the end of the day, that's not something that I would be looking at necessarily. As Apple is trying again for that high of 194.13, it's not breaking down, but it's also not going anywhere. So, we see what happens with this one.
That said, guess what finally got off the shot? I guess I should have been reloading this over and over again at 250. This is like, it's just like ATVI. I just held on to 250, but you finally got the move up on Nikola. So I have my offers. As I said, I would get out 65s, and then I have one at the high of the day from an earlier trade. I did one reload at that 52 entry. That's what I'm kind of hanging on to. I actually got 53s there. And then earlier on, we're long at 250. But that just happened. I saw in the chat someone said, Nikola's going. I'm like, yeah, I got an offer there. Maybe we'll get a fill. Finally got that fill. Apple is dog on this breakout. I conceded and I took the fill up there. It just got to 12s. I got a fill at 11 because it's not really going anywhere. I'll take one in front of 20. It's 320, man. You've got to take some profit out. I did the same thing with this ATVI. I'm not holding on for VWAP. It's late enough in the day. This was free money off the 93 short, but I probably was way too aggressive taking it out early, or the other way to have played it would have been to continuously reload the short every time I get out. I decided to play it the other way, looking for the big pull into VWAP. It gives me the 20 cents here, but I could have maximized that trade a heck of a lot better. That's obvious. To see a win's a win. You got to be able to take it. But to your Google point, we're going to trade what moves, and you're always going to prioritize it. All we're here to do is show you what we're looking at, the why. We can't cover every single stock. We get to as much as we can for you guys, and the only thing we ever do is A, ask you to hit the like and subscribe, but B, contribute to the community. Right? So I love the fact that everyone's talking to each other and giving good ideas and feedback and whatnot. We love that. The way to grow the community is to get the YouTube algorithm going and supporting us by hitting that like and subscribe. It's been a fun show. The market's through 16,000. What more can you ask for? It's a two bull day. We had it all day long. We've been looking for the longs pretty much all day, and they have been paying you out, with the notable exception of, I will say, Palantir through this high of day.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm down on Palantir because I tried shorting it. It's that simple. You waited all day for an 18 breakout, and yes, the short should have been at 18.10. I lost money shorting the 18 level, and look at it fail this 18.10. This is the fail of all the longs here today. Great move off the bottom for this piece of you-know-what, but wow, it cannot get through 18.10. 1810 is an absolute brick wall, and there's no logic or rhyme or reason for it. It just happens to be true. I think I made the right call, scalping out of the last meta and just taking the breakdown, taking it out on the breakdown. That's how you stay positive on a stock. Sure, it's working for you. Just because it's green doesn't mean it's going to continue to be good. It's trending to the downside. We tried that one last reload. Had it worked on that double bottom, I think we get to 313, maybe higher. It doesn't work. Just get out of Dodge. You don't have to fight it. You don't have to force it. That's not the way to trade. Paulo, Danielle Shea made Microsoft run. I don't disagree. You can say whatever you want about the news that came out today, but the rally in Microsoft that was actually going yesterday when Danielle Shea came on was the start of the move. I feel like it was right about here at 3 o'clock when it bounced off 45 into 46. Thank you very much, Danielle. I had 45s long at that time. And then it continued to move today. Embarrassingly, I haven't traded it since 354, but Microsoft can't get going now. It's underneath 65. It's holding the market up a little bit, and it's hard for us to run without Microsoft. That's the problem with the NASDAQ. I mean, if Apple's trying to go, but if Microsoft doesn't come with it, if Meta doesn't come with it, and you have a hard time pressing through. It's already done heavy lifting. Yeah. Are there buyers up here when a lot of people have been saying we've been overbought before this, and now we're up another $15, $20. So.
I mean, I feel like 1,000 handles ago, people have been saying that we're overbought, and now we're at 16 instead of 15. So
This is the problem with calling bubbles, people. If you want to call something a bubble, there's nothing wrong with that. Almost every single up move in the market is resulting in bubbles. That's just how it works. But the real key would be if you can pick the top. And speaking of picking the tops, no one ever went broke taking profit. See? I got to fill a Nicola as I was calling it a piece of you-know-what, and then it goes right back in at 250. You know what? I'm not even thinking about it. I'm getting right out flat. That is why let it break when I can just get out. Now, there's size at 250. I think it's breaking that size. That is a huge rejection. I had 8% of the position and was able to get out half. There's no need to be stubborn about the last little bit. If it ain't moving, you ain't got to trade it. It was great this morning. It's decent. It was decent this afternoon. It's trash right now. J Mott, you should buy some T for your long-term or at least sell some puts. As I said, I really don't know the story and the depth of this whole lead thing for the cables. If I had a better grasp on it and I didn't think it was going to cost that much, it's at an intriguing bottom. I'll give you that much. It just, if you don't get it, you don't have to invest in it. You can trade something you don't understand if you're using technicals. That can work out. But as far as like a long-term play, I don't know. Like I'll ask my dad. He knows telecommunications. It is intriguing. Like as someone pointed out, I looked at him like, it is kind of intriguing. At some point, it's going to make a bottom.
Yeah.
And it could make a nice rally, but.
It's looking like a very interesting bottom right here at this 1350, but I don't know, is the volume there we've done 80 million shares today, that's quite a bit, but is the volume there to really, and is the amount of time there to give you the move that you want to get out of this into the end of the day? I'd say no. I'd look to something else.
Yeah, have they cut the dividend at any point yet?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I just saw that. Curtis T, not to mention the dividend will drop. Yeah, that's exactly.
Well, yeah, that would happen.
I don't even know if they have cut the dividend at any point in this move to the downside. I have no idea. So there's little things that you want to know about this stock.
yeah, exactly.
And of course, if this is a gigantic cost, they're going to have to cut the dividend to pay it out. Those are the things you want to know if you're investing in it long term. So I'm going to admit that I do not know those when it comes to AT&T. So yeah, not going to be my cup of tea. However, I might need to get out of Marvell. It's been a good run, but when you wick 66 and you're threatening underneath 16,000 again on the NASDAQ, I'm glad this never broke 66 even to get me more long Marvell, because if we wick this top and get back underneath 16,000, long at the top is not where you want to get trapped or giving up the ghost either. So I'll trail it out here if it gets underneath 70. Apple, this is now starting to fail the break. Can't do much about these wicks. It got up to, I saw like 13s as a high. That's where I was able to get a fill. It cannot seem to even break that as we speak. So it's holding on to 94, but if you're not into dimes, that's what this breakout is giving you. So if it cannot hold on to it through 16,000, I'm stopping out tight on Apple. I don't know how you're not in Tesla, never mind.
No.
Microsoft.
Not in Tesla. I did just get short Microsoft on this kind of shelf breakdown at 362.75, looking for this to continue through that 362 price and see what happens if we can get down into this 361. I think giving it like 50 cents of risk into, I did have something on the other chart there, like 363.50. So a little bit more risk, but looking for like $1.50 of reward on this one. I think, if we're going to give up this shelf here, there's a lot of room back down to VWAP. Really nothing supporting us. A little bit of chop in here, between 361.75 and 360.50. So that's kind of the profit target there, just below 361.50 and into 360.5. See what happens if we can get a little flush into the close on this Microsoft position. Apple is about to come out unless it kind of rebids right away. Stop is basically, we hit like 95, 96 on Apple. Just punch out of that one.
Yeah,
It's not going to go. It's not going to go. But sometimes it does rebid off of these retests and then gets going very quickly. But that's going to have to happen kind of right away here on Apple. And the Microsoft break is starting to work, which is probably not really helping this Apple position either.
No, I'm out of Apple.
Yeah.
That was enough for me. I tightened it up. If it took that long to only give 10s,
Yeah, exactly.
With the market trying to retest that 16,000, no, I'm not. Normally, an initial move, I'll probably give it to 95 or 90. But when it does that for that long, I'm not going to fight it. You don't want to. You're padding the stats at the end of the day. You're not usually going to hit the home runs to double or triple your day. Anything. You're not usually doing that. So trying to force that on Apple doesn't make any sense to me. I like the notion of looking for a short at the 16,000 level. You found Microsoft, and why not? It makes a lot of sense to me. I don't see any way to chase that move. Like it's already starting to go. Yeah, I can't chase it. We're going to get the early look on the imbalances in a couple of minutes here. If we don't get it, feel free, if you have a source, throw it in the chat for us. But the imbalances are going to come out, and I don't know if they're going to move the market. I think 16,000, this is just going to be about Apple and Microsoft and the big cap tech names in the NASDAQ. We either hold 16,000 or we don't. Everything else is kind of not important. Tesla, you're not still in Tesla, are you? Because
No, it kind of rejected the top there.
all of these wicks I have. But yeah, Tesla rejected the top, but it's a little bit relatively strong on that pullback.
Yeah,
So it just pulled back to 92.5 and is trying to get back above 93. Tesla's sometimes good for a late day run. I like my Marvell just because the chips have been leading the way and Nvidia's at the high. So I think I have that going for me. So it's the only thing I'm hanging on to. ATVI doesn't really count because I'm not saying it's gimmicky, but it's not going to follow the market, as I said. But Nvidia at the high of the day, the chips can still be good. 480 going to be in play, I think, at 350 for Nvidia. That could be one of those reversal type plays. If we get a buy imbalance that reverses at, say, 350, then a fail at 480 at that same time, it could be really juicy on Nvidia. We've seen that before at the high of the day on a round number. I think we have a chance to test that. If it gets there, then hopefully my Marvell's busted through 66.
Yeah, that Nvidia, I mean, now I feel like there's not enough time left for 480 to be good. So is that like 480 and a half kind of double top short idea
Maybe.
making some sense? Do we even get there today? I mean, this consolidation is kind of telling me, yes, we do get there. That 479 break looks like it's going to go directly into 480, but I just don't know that we have the time of day left. There is half an hour and 20 minutes until imbalances. Maybe imbalances, there's a big buy imbalance.
We got the early look.
Yeah?
606 to the buy side is the early look on the imbalances.
Okay.
And because you haven't had one in a while, Ponzi Fonzie, you get a shout out. It's been ages. Well, you haven't asked for the shout out in a while. I haven't seen on the chat as much Ponzi. I see Dan Emmons put it in the chat as well. So thank you guys for posting that. 606 million to buy. So what I was getting at with Nvidia, if it goes from a buy imbalance at 606 for the early look, if somehow Nvidia pumps to 480, let's just say, fails 480 and at 350, it turns to like a small buy or a sell imbalance overall in the market, and Nvidia's a sell. That's like a money short through 480. That's a very specific setup. I don't remember the price, but it did that a few weeks ago on Nvidia. I don't think it was 450. It could have been 420. I don't remember the exact price, but it was an even dollar level. And then right at 350, the futures did a turn on an imbalance move. And if you just shorted 10 cents in front of Nvidia underneath that even dollar, it was like a free $1.50 trade. Tight risk, you're risking back into the even. So I like that kind of a setup at 350, but that's very specific for Nvidia.
I tried a little cheeky trade on Tesla the other day, going into a number where it was breaking 280, I think, intraday, and it was like 30 cents above, and we had 10 seconds until the number. So I put a stop below to go short 99s, and it worked, and I got 80 cents, but then I didn't take it, and then right away you're back up, and I ended up losing 20 cents on the trade. So you can do all these cheeky things with numbers and imbalances and stuff.
Take the profit.
But you just got to take the profit right away because, a lot of those,
You're gaming.
the market kind of just buys all of those things up if they go really well in your favor very quickly, I find.
Well, in that case, you're gamifying the algos. Like what you're trying to do is get out in front of like an algo like exit trade. So like the number comes out and then it works in your favor and they yank the bid. So you're short, they yank the bid when the number comes out. But when they fill the bid back up, you need to already be out of the trade.
Yeah, exactly. And the competition for those fills is going to be way too high unless like this is the worst number that you've ever seen and there's actually follow through. This Microsoft move is starting to work.
Yeah, that's working out really nice for you. But that's also why you take profit on a 350 trade because it's the same kind of dynamic.
Exactly.
Go back to Max, man, because the short's definitely working here. We're back through 16,000. I got nothing. I'm getting out of Marvel actually.
Yeah, I'm going to take, I think, half out of this Microsoft. Not looking for really much more than this on this move down. I was looking for 360 and a half for the other half, so just waiting on a fill here at 27. Doesn't want to fill me. All right, I'll just punch 36 there. So I got half out of the Microsoft. Looking for the 361 break to get the other half out. Decent little trade there. Nothing crazy. Should have been short at 365. Got to change this little wick here to 362. Let's 361. All right. Yeah, should have been short up here at 365 instead of shorting this breakdown. But you know, you get what you get. And pretty decent little risk to reward trade there going into the close, as we say, padding the stats going into the end of the day. Not really looking for you know, some crazy move there.
There's a reason for that, and they call it padding the stats. I've seen traders try to make like some hero trades at the end of the day, and looking for that hero, give it all back when there wasn't time for the big move. It's just not worth it. The other thing though is if you're padding the stats, don't get addicted to a round number like, oh, I need to be up this amount. I've seen traders shut themselves down trying to get an extra $10. A guy was at $991.78. I know the exact number because I'll never forget it. $991.78 was his net. I won't tell you his name, and it was like over a decade ago. And he basically wanted to take 1,000 shares for 1 cent so he could get above $1,000 on the day.
Yeah.
He lost that trade. Then he was $30 away from it because he lost 2 cents, and he ended up shutting himself down. And this was with 15 minutes to go in the day. Ridiculous, right? Like, who cares? 990 is the same as 1,000. But I'm now out of my last long. So ignore this wick. 65.80, we rejected 66. We had the long at 65.40 on Marvell. So it's decent. No breakthrough at 66 even. I, for one, blame the market. If the market had held 16,000, if NVIDIA had continued to go up, if Microsoft hadn't come down, all that good stuff, Marvell would have been fine. But hey, that's what happens. I didn't sniff out a short in NVIDIA or any of the chip names. I was looking for the long to carry through. So a winning trade's a winning trade, but I didn't really get out at the actual high of the day. ATVI will be a win, but I said that short's not the best. Damn CVNA, the stock professor says. I'll bite.
$40.
$40. It did get the, I mean, it did make the move. There you go. It did make the move to 42. I just didn't realize it had come all the way back. Still up 10% on the day. We're all waiting for it to make a new high.
Definitely interesting for tomorrow. Definitely interesting
45?
for tomorrow.
Or do you wait for
maybe
45?
Tomorrow. At 42.50 when it did break out
Yeah,
last week was amazing. It got like straight to 44 and a half.
Right here.
So yeah, maybe
yeah.
42.50 breakout tomorrow makes sense off the open.
Don't
I
wait
think
for 45.
I would have that because you can, you know, structure the risk to reward on that one. And then if you're riding the winner into 45, you can add a whole lot of size if you're very convicted on that, which I figure I would be.
I'm always preferring, if there's 2 levels into a massive break, it's so much easier to be in the money or up on the stock, and then it makes the big breakout trade to actually follow through than it is to have your only entry be all the chips in at the massive breakout price, because then you're probably going to size up, you're going to get a little FOMO if you don't do things perfectly. But if you're already in the money going into it, it makes things a little bit easier. So 42.5 on Carvana tomorrow. I'm all for that trade as well. Like I said, 600 million buy imbalance for now. We're sleeping on QSI. Crypto Polo just said. Well, I'm only in ATVI now. I don't have a short. So QSI. Yeah, Quantum Psi Incorporated. Why are we sleeping on this? 5 million volume, not bad. Not a lot today, double top. I don't know the news. You can tell me the news. Almost up 10%. That matters more if it's down 10%. That's kind of psychological. When it's up 10%, good look where it is on the daily chart. I mean, technically, yeah, okay. So it breaks out from here, room well past $4 until you get to 450, which is a bag hold. That's a bag hold level for sure. Like, look how many times it tried to break out from over 450 to then resist 450 and then bounce off 2, double up, reject 450. Yeah, there's a lot of sellers that are going to be like, ooh, goodness, I got this one back. And it's a triple up from the bottom at 150. Triple up from 150, resistance, but that's $1 away. Need volume. There's no volume on it right now. So maybe tomorrow, put it on the old list. If it picks up have a quick look-see. Tesla, of course Tesla's breaking the high of the day.
Yeah, of course.
As the market
294
gets
break into high of day.
I can't take a break at 340. I don't know.
Absolutely not. No.
Not at 340.
You know, I've done that before. It's usually on a day where you're chasing things. You feel like the market owes you something, and then you kind of change your rules to take a breakout at 340 on Tesla, and you just lose an extra little bit of money. Yeah. Not something that I like to do, but something that I have done many times.
Everybody's done it.
Yeah.
As a trader, you never want to think that, oh, I don't fall for this trap, or I don't revenge trade, or everybody does it. The only thing that makes you improve as a trader is to do less of it. Like you make less mistakes for less size. That's generally speaking how the progression as a trader goes. Profits come because there's opportunities in the market. Realistically, making money comes down to maximizing the good trades, making sure you take all your A+ setups, and then the times that you're going to do dumb things, do it less often and do it for less shares. That's about all you can ever hope for. Because I do dumb shit. I do dumb stuff all the time. Okay, yeah, it is dumb shit. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like you force something. Palantir is the literal perfect example of that today. This morning, we said 18 is nice and psychological and round, but it had a rejection of 18.10 in the pre-market, and then that was a local high, so it has to clear that. But when I decide to short a level, I short out in front of 18 even because it's a big, fat, round number, so I short that. And I lose, and I lose, and then where was the money short? Shorting off the pre-market high. Money. That's the short off the pre-market high. I'm shorting a round number because it's 18. Psychological. We anchor ourselves to this crap all the time. I'm going to do it probably again some point in the future, and you guys can yell at me when I do. But if you shorted yesterday's top, fail breaks on Palantir, you show me where you're losing. Even if you get wicked out, you just jump right back in and it gives you a dip. So that's definitely one there. Neil short Microsoft. It's 340. I'm not forcing anything. I put the chips on the long carrying through. So even if they didn't follow through as much as I wanted, all the longs ended up working at the end of the day. I don't want to chase Microsoft going into 350.
No, it's kind of doing a bounce off 361 right now as well. I think there's going to be buyers on this name going into the close. That was a crazy move. Some people are probably still offside waiting for the dip to kind of rectify their position. So I figure, after a move like this, Microsoft probably has a bid going into the close with only 18 minutes left on the day today. Maybe we get down to 360, but I'm going to say no. So that's why I am getting more out at this 361 price and going to stop out at 362 if that goes back above there, which kind of feels like it wants to do that very quickly. Apple also just made a new high of day by 1 cent and then pulls all the way back to 194.02. So kind of choppy on Apple, not enough volume to get that move done. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Hopefully it's kind of proven itself, done all the repair that it has to do back down to the downside, and we can make that upside all-time high move tomorrow morning off of the open. If I had to guess, I would say that they would do the break before the open so that we don't get to have any fun, but
that's how they do.
Hopefully we get it. Hopefully we get that 194.50 into 195 move that we've been waiting for, that I really thought we were going to get today, but a bit of a laggard today, this Apple stock. Microsoft just chilling out. Tesla 294.20. So I would say the probability of 300 tomorrow has increased substantially in the last hour or so. Tesla looking like it wants to squeeze into earnings. I think that 300 makes some sense tomorrow. Maybe it takes until the afternoon to get there, but I'll definitely be long biased on this name tomorrow.
There was a question someone just asking what's going on with Microsoft. If you haven't been following along, the reason why everyone's talking about Microsoft and not Tesla, and you'd think Tesla earnings tomorrow, it's at the high of the day. Netflix is doing a monster day. It's got earnings tomorrow. Why are you talking about Microsoft? They have it's like a $30 subscription for their AI they announced at 11:30. So if you ever see a volume spike like this and a move like that, there's probably news. So if you don't know what the news is, when something like this happens. Like, look at the volume. It's bigger volume than it was doing at the open, right? And consistently. So if you don't know what's happening when something like this takes place in the middle of the day, find out, because it matters. Is it going to be something that carries it through? Obviously it did. That's why everyone is concerned about Microsoft. That announcement sent it to the absolute moon. NVIDIA, you can attribute the NVIDIA move to this as well. NVIDIA broke out at the same time. I shouldn't have chased it there. Your long's probably off the 65 level somewhere in here. I was taking a high of the day break and not giving it room. I got a lot to atone for today, even though I was up today. Like, the 470, okay, fine, it went to 469, but then it comes right back and breaks out the top, and I could have just taken it again. That was a good entry. It goes clean to 475. That's the worst part. NVIDIA sometimes does this. It's not the first break, it's the second break. And you got to be willing to jump into it the second time it takes that level, because that's where the continuation can be. It's just how it works sometimes for NVIDIA. And you got to be willing to do it, because when it trends to the upside, it's absolutely fantastic. Tesla still battling with this 294 high. The NVIDIA 380 short idea for 350 might not be working because it's already pulled back, but Tesla 295 could work for that kind of a play. So I'll have Tesla up at 350 for the look at the imbalances. If there's like a cheeky reversal play to be had, Tesla is setting up a bit better off the 95 level.
Yeah, that could be actually something decent off that. Yeah, I don't know. And NVIDIA gives it all back off that. Not all back, but right back down to 475. Interesting there. Microsoft had a couple bids around 360.50, so I've got most of it out. I think I'm actually just going to punch the rest out now because we couldn't follow through that 360 price, but end up getting $2 on the last quarter of the position, so that's pretty good little trade there into the close on Microsoft. Got smoked on the way up, so you know, makes a little bit makes up for it slightly here, but really, you know, gonna have to be looking for longs on Microsoft tomorrow. I think I'm banned from shorting this thing maybe for a little while on the move up.
Self-ban?
Yeah, self-ban for sure. Carvana is actually getting. I don't know.
If that goes now, I'll be.
It's giving too much back.
Oh, it's under 40 again. Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, I want this to close over $40 just for that move tomorrow. 39.70 was the last kind of, or 75 was the breakout price, and it was a resistance price previously. So breakout here at support, not resistance. Sorry. So support there at 75. So. Well, Tesla yeah, maybe this is a breakdown here. Tesla going all the way back up. Things
it got
are
really
close. Into the close, eh?
It got to 71 there. This is actually gonna maybe set up right at 350. If there is a potential imbalance on Tesla, the thing is, if you take a 350 trade like this, like a very quick rejection of 295, you won't even know what the imbalance is by the time you're in and out of the trade. Like, you're making the assumption that if it comes your way and you short it off the 95 level, that either just kind of works or it doesn't, and then you look after and see if the imbalance was in your favor. But yeah, it's going to get pretty tight. I don't want it to happen before. It kind of has to happen as it gets to 350. We got 2 minutes to go here. It's at 294.87. I'm not just going to sit in front of it. I want failed break literally the second of a 350 move and then have a stop at the high, but that might not even give a setup. What a strong day for Tesla. Congratulations. We're back above 16,000 on the NASDAQ. I'm going to cover this ATVI because there's almost no point being in it. I just got out at 83s. Again, it ends up being a really good scalp trade for which I just got in the one time and held it instead of just going short 5 times and taking 10 to 15 cents 5 times. Would have been a better way to play it, but I was looking for the big move to happen in big tech. All right, 90 seconds to go. Tesla just broke 295. It got up to 295.10. Wow. The stock is absolutely insane. If you want 300 Tesla tomorrow, it's giving you every indication that we can get a shot at that move. I don't even think I want to short 300 tomorrow, to be honest with you. This morning we joked about if NVIDIA got to 500, would you short it? I would short NVIDIA 500 because I think that's way too big not to. I think Tesla 300 is a bit different because on the weekly chart, Tesla 309 to 312 is resistance, and that's a big resistance on the weekly chart on Tesla. Oh, I still have it up. Like, it's Like it could easily break 300 and stop here. I should full screen that sometime. But yeah, 312 is a big level when you pull that weekly up a little bit further. That's why I don't like the 300 short. But 500 NVIDIA is a much, much different story.
Yeah, that 300 level, I think we're too close now to be shorting that. Like, that's not going to be a particular extension move after getting all the way to 295. And it didn't get to 295 and a half. It got to 295.13 just now. But yeah, we'll see where this one gaps to tomorrow. I'm thinking we're probably gapping to like 297 tomorrow, and then possibly breaking 300 off the open, which could be fun. You wonder if there are sellers there going into earnings, but I don't know. The Tesla bulls can't be stopped, it seems, as Netflix just made a new high actually going into the close as well, with the imbalance just coming out about 10 seconds ago.
I did get that cheeky trade into Tesla. It's probably going to insta-stop out there. Yeah, it's probably going to do it. The high's 295.13, so if it breaks the high, I'm out. I got 97 short. Apple's a buy, Intel's a buy, Pfizer, Amazon, Tesla's a buy. Why even wait for it to get to the top? I'm just out right now. So you know what? That somehow didn't lose money, even though the imbalance came out of buy, which is weird because it's a 1 million buy. Google's a 1 million buy. Amazon 1.2 million to buy. Wow, if that short ends up working, I'm going to hate myself. Microsoft, 770,000 to the buy side. What else? It's all big tech, and they're all buys up here. Heck, even Sirius Satellite Radio was a buy for 1.2 million. If anybody cares, nobody does. Ford, 1.6 million to buy. That just popped up there. Pfizer, which has been beaten up. It's all buy side imbalances, as if it comes out 1 million to buy on Tesla, and I didn't see that wick. I think it actually gave a winning trade of about 30 cents if you were quick enough to take it, but it essentially filled right in front of 94, popped down 20 or 30 cents, and then right back up when, obviously, when it's a million buy, would have worked out. It's now beneath 295, but that's a gimmicky style trade anyways. So the fact that I was able to get out flat when it was a million to buy and I was betting it would be a bit of a sell, I'll just kind of be happy that it didn't run you over, realistically.
People in the chat saying mock imbalance 1.5 billion to the buy side.
Brendan just gave us 4.5 billion to the upside. That's why I just punched out the short. I mean, I know it's underneath 295, but like, give me a break. Like, no way. Not 4.5 market imbalance to the buy side. 1 million on Tesla alone. You have the column with the notionals on some of those.
I don't have my imbalance locator.
Yeah, I don't have my locator up for the notional, but the notional on. I mean, obviously these are massive. Like these are not tiny companies with million buy imbalances. Like okay, Siri is, but who cares? Apple and Tesla holding at 800,000. Amazon was up there. Google's at 700,000. They're pairing off now, which is probably why this is starting to pull back at least a little bit. But we're back above the 16,000. Congratulations if you got your longs out in there. They were all fantastic. Oh, that's right, Steve G. The likes are not cat-worthy.
Hola, like and subscribe today.
So apparently it's going to be AJ, the new man in town. Got new intern. I see AJ. He's all smiles. But I don't know if we should have AJ. You can't smile when you ring the bell if we have 680 likes.
I'll be serious as possible. Don't worry.
So he's already just said stone cold face unless you guys get us to 1,000 likes. AJ rang the bell this morning, and quite frankly, I was about to introduce him, and then Randy's big head came right in front of the camera. Like right as we're about to do the open, Randy just steps into the shot, completely throws us off. You got stocks lined up that you're trying to trade. You're trying to give a throw to the bell, and all of a sudden Randy's just like, yeah, whatever. I need to walk through the shot because who cares? That's how Randy rolls. He doesn't care. We're going to get to the 1,000 likes because you guys do it for us every single time. That's why you guys are the MVPs. Quite frankly, anybody that was long, pretty much anything today is an MVP. Unless it was AT&T, which maybe it's made a bottom. I'm not willing to call it a bottom. Can't do it. But yeah, AT&T, that's a dog. There was another dog today. There was some stock that dropped like 30%. It was a big cap that dropped 30% on bad guidance. Greg was telling me about it, but I forget the name.
MASI?
It was that, MASI.
Yeah.
That was a big one. Like, I didn't trade it at all. This was a missed opportunity, actually. I saw this at lunchtime. I meant to talk about this. Load, thank you, load. This was a huge missed opportunity. in Massey. We always talk about this notion of a stock gaps down and looks ridiculously bad, is breaking lows the entire way through, then before the open it makes a bottom in consolidation bottoms. If it doesn't break the low, there's only one place to go. It regains 105 after bouncing off of 101, does not break underneath 105 at the open. This is what it looked like at the open. Holds 105 here, tries to challenge below, bounces off it, then it's just make a run. So it's either something continues being crap or it's gone down too far and some relief rally comes into it. So a bit of a missed opportunity, but I wasn't really looking at the stock. Massey wasn't even on our watch list, but it was worth a look when you see a setup like that to be able to take it. 355, a lot of times you're going to get a big pairing event on these imbalances. I'd expect Intel almost always pairs off. That won't be 1.3 million in a few minutes here. Yeah, there you go. Amazon flipped to sell 800,000. That was a buy before. Microsoft is 600,000 sell. Ford grew as a buy. Okay. Everything else paired off and flipped to the other side. So market is probably tanking back under 16,000. That was nasty. The 355 reverse wins all battles, and Ford, 2 million is not a huge amount on Ford, but it was down so much yesterday. I'm curious. Is that the low of the day? Okay, it's not at the low of the day. If it was at the low of the day, that would have been spicy. It's actually at the previous day's close. Had this been off the low, I think a cheeky long would have been in play. But if you bet on the sell, that 355 reverse, there's a reason at 355 we give you an update on the imbalances. It's a major pairing event on the NYSE floor, so that and even NASDAQ stocks are very prone to flip or at least pair off the imbalances. If you're running in the money on the longs, you might want to consider taking profit at 355 or out in front of it, or at least have a trailing stop, because life comes at you pretty quick, and that reversal was nasty. If I had held on to Tesla short, at 295, it was a cheeky, gimmicky play. So yeah, it would have worked out, but if I'm holding it against me, I'm fighting the move, and I don't think you force trades at 4 o'clock. So the idea was kind of right. The execution was at 350 for me. You could have maybe made the play at 355, and it would have worked out there. Steve G, we did get to 1,000 likes, so thank you guys so much.
Congratulations!
To yourselves for getting us 1,000 likes. Now, AJ, you can smile when you ring the bell.
I'll have the biggest grin now.
Now he said, I'll have the biggest grin, he said. AJ, we're liking you already. We're going to have to get you to, AJ was actually sitting, if you watched the opening, and I caught this too, he was sitting in the desk with Brendan, and it went to the shot and caught him on camera, and then we just all acted like it didn't even happen, and then went on with the rest of the day, not explaining who AJ was or what he was doing here. Let's just pretend we didn't have that camera shot with him on. But yeah, we'll have to talk to you at one point live on the show, not to put you on the spot, but entirely to put you on the spot, because that's what we do around here. Everything's live, everything is all good, and everything is fun. Tomorrow, Tesla 300, says Dan. Everybody wants Tesla 300 tomorrow. I'm with you. But we can't will it to that level. Are we going to take the break if it's there?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, we're going to take the break if it breaks 300. But that doesn't mean we can will it into existence. Apple.
Some of the biggest sell candles of the day are coming into these tech names right now. With only 2 minutes left. Like, these are huge sell candles for Apple, which has been basically just grinding up all day and finally gives it up at the end. You look at Netflix, I don't think Netflix had a sell candle all day, basically. Now finally, giving a couple of dollars up. And then, Amazon worked so hard to get it all back and gets smoked into the close. So a few of these names giving it up. I actually had that idea as well to maybe try a little Tesla failure short going into the end of the day. But then I thought, doing that is almost like when you're taking the breakout and hoping for it. I think when you're doing it going into the imbalance, it makes sense. I was thinking afterwards.
But you could play, instead of playing the 350 reversal play, you could just put the same trade on again at 355, because it pairs off. So it's a gimmicky style trade, but you have the opportunity for imbalances flipping to give the extra oomph. That's what I'll be frustrated, because if you did the same setup at 350, happened on Tesla, and worked clean for $1, Apple gave you $1, everything pulled back.
Yeah.
And it was right at 355, so that 350 play should have just been 355. But it's very tight stops. Like, I punched out flat on Tesla, but I was risking less than 20 cents on Tesla for that play. 97 short, 13 was the high, and my stop was at that high of the day, like really, really quick.
Doesn't get better than that on that name.
And you're trying to make a buck. It's just a very cheeky trade.
Yeah.
Where the risk to reward, and that's all you really want out of it. Less than 1 minute to go. Wednesday, tomorrow, we have massive earnings after the market. If you don't know that Tesla and Netflix are reporting after the bell tomorrow, now you do know. That's what everyone's interested in. Of course, the AI names are going to be in play as well. I'm telling you, I mean, the after shows this week with Pratt are going to all be fire, but tomorrow's is going to be special because it's the first time we'll have major, massive, redonkulous earnings for Pratt-Stradamus. Actually, it's not Pratt-Stradamus anymore. It's Platinum Pratt now as I look at him chuckling
The
up at the
Prodigy,
desk.
I believe, is what he calls
The
himself
Prodigy?
now. Yeah.
I'm not calling him the Prodigy. It's you don't get to make up new names when you want. You're Platinum Prad till we say otherwise. But let's get the camera off me. Let's get it to AJ. Drop the countdown on. We got 10 seconds to go. He's a happy man because he gets to ring the bell with a smile, and we get to introduce him unless Randy comes through in 4, 3, 2, and ring it. There it is. A nice measured bell ring. Randy likes to break eardrums. AJ knows how to do it properly. That's what it's all about here. So look, the market ends up, I don't know, Brendan. Did we manage to finish in the green?
I mean, hi. Some days there's a question mark, but today was not one of those days.
No.
Can we? Thank you, Ramin. There we go. Very green, right across everything here. 0.82 for the NASDAQ 100, 0.64 for the composite there. Adding to what we saw start about mid-morning there, back to the upside. 1.2 for the Russell 2000, full percent for the Dow. 0.71 when all is said and done for the S&P, guys.
It's not every day you get a move like that midday on a major cap name like a Microsoft. The only thing that came to mind was when Lucid had the Saudi stuff, and it just started going ham. Like, that's very eerily similar, even though Lucid's a very different type of name.
Yeah.
And that's what you look for sometimes.
I recall AMD's
2
months ago did some kind of news, which I made a lot of money shorting that, and that's maybe why I was so aggressive trying to get that Microsoft
but then
short
that's
today.
fine.
Yeah, it is what it is.
You didn't say, we were talking about like trying to short the Microsoft, but you failed to mention that you successfully had a big winner on a short the news type event because you do look to recreate that success when something works for you.
Yeah.
I want to give a big shout out to Max doing a fantastic job. He fills in for both of us, but for me when I was camping, filling in for Sean. Sean was golfing, and then today he was jumping. Well, he wasn't really jumping over those dunes, but having a lot of fun with the family. That's what it's all about. Sean's back tomorrow. We got Netflix earnings. We got Tesla earnings after the bell. Should be absolutely wild. We have all of you guys doing a fantastic job supporting the show, and we love you all. Got a shout out to OE for doing a great job on the midday. Fabian Ramin on the 1s and 2s, as always. Brendo doing his thing. Sharif is back next week as well. And then AJ, newest member, hanging out with us, able to ring the bell. Was a fun job. But I'm telling you, the after show is going to be fire. No pressure, Prad, but you got some big expectations for the next couple of shows into earnings season. With that, no further ado, let's get right into the after show with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Platinum Prad.
Hello, test. What the problem was over there, but we're back live. But as I was saying, call me whatever you guys want. I'm okay with it. We're gonna have a lot of fun as we always do, ladies and gentlemen. And this closed show is brought to you. After the closed show is brought to you by Kalshi. Trade on market event outcomes. Kalshi is a federally regulated exchange supported by renowned investors such as Sequoia Capital, Y Combinator, Charles Schwab, and others. It offers a new asset class called event contracts, allowing users to directly trade on the outcome of the market events. Today's poll comes directly from their website. What do you think the highest Fed's fund rate will be? And you have 3 options right there: 5.25 to 5.5, 5.5 to 6, or 6 to 6.24. If you wanna, if you think it'll be higher or lower the Fed's final fund rate that they want to stick to, the highest fund rate that they want to stick to. You can go on their website directly and bet using a money over here on their website. So check out Kalshi. Thank you for sponsoring the After the Close show. As you guys know, obviously, earnings season is upon us. You might have gotten a quick glimpse at what stock I was looking at over there. We got a couple stocks with earnings tonight after hours. It's the two main ones on list over there are WAL, Western Alliance, and IBKR. IBKR looks like their numbers are out, and we're actually dropping to the downside. So why don't we dive right into the stock over here? IBKR did pop up to begin with. I'm guessing their numbers were good, but overall, coming out with the negative guidance maybe or something bad in there that the reports are being, not really being appreciated by the market overall, and IBKR pushing down to that $84 area. I also want to, I have this ready. I want to take a look at it. I just haven't taken a look at it just yet. So it looks like they're expecting a 4% moves overall on IBKR, a drop down to $82 or a pop up to 89. The stock did pop up to 89 previously off the initial move on the earnings report, which was supposed to come out at 4, so makes sense why we're seeing the move already. And for those of you wondering what time Western Alliance announces their numbers come out at 4:30, so we'll take a look at that number around then too. So here's IBKR popping back up right now without moving down to 82 just yet, popping back up right back into today's range. Sadly, IBKR doesn't really do too much volume throughout the day. The average, where is the average volume over here? Does this show average volume? It's supposed to. If this doesn't, we can just quickly head over to FinWiz and get the data from there. So looking for FinViz logo. That's not FinViz. That's not FinViz either. That's FinViz. There we go. FinViz, IBKR. I think the average volume on this stock is pretty low. Look at that. And this is the average of 3 months. Average 3-month volume, 858,000 shares. IBKR average 10-day volume coming in at around the same amount of average volume share so far. So IBKR, yeah, moving around at the moment, but throughout the day, it might not have enough volume for us to, make a bet. I'm gonna pick 5.25 to 5.49% on Fed's final rate, because I don't think the Fed's actually going to 5.5 to 6 coming in. I know they did say that they want to raise hikes by 2 more points or so, or give 2 more hikes so far. And the first one's being planned for the July 26th date, and the next one after that. But I think with how every little market, numbers are coming out, the economic data is coming out, the Fed might just be able to stop at 5.25 to 5.5, but that's just my speculation over there. Obviously, we have to wait for economic data to come out, but that was the vote over there. We got 11 votes so far. Make sure you guys are voting up in the chat. Make that vote be known. Make your opinion be known. I would like to see where you guys think the Fed's final rate hike will be. So IBKR over here already stopped moving, as you guys can see. Volume already dying down big time. It brought in about like 300,000 shares in about per minute scale, but immediately dropping down to 2,000 shares or less than 2,000 shares. That's the sad story with the IBKR. So tomorrow, not sure if we actually will end up finding any trades off of this, but if we were looking for some levels over here, let's go to the daily chart. IBKR pulling back into a little bit of the I think 52-week high ranges almost, not really back to 52-week high. We already have it open. Let's go to the 1-year chart. Is that all-time high? Yeah, pretty much near all-time highs for IBKR here. Pretty damn strong, especially after all of the GME stuff they did. I would think that people would stop using IBKR and boycott IBKR the way people boycotted, what's that company name? Robinhood. But looks like that's not how it's playing out overall. IBKR still coming out with decent numbers. Today's numbers, as far as